Because you've got powerful legs. How'd you get the physique? Was it gym or how'd you get the physique?
I've always been...
She's actually not got powerful legs. Do you shower in your dressing room? Do you have a shower on the day of a fight or not? Tell us about the tattoos.
Shut the fuck up, you little prick.
But then I've got the Phoenix.
Hey, prick.
So I'll take it from Bob every day of the week.
Absolute disgrace.
That's your knowing or mine.
Move him out of here, Darren.
Ricky Hatton didn't go over for his fighter because he risked getting abducted and sold into sexual
I never said that.
Both have been rape victims. I'm not watching Frank Buglioni live on Saturday night. You're out of your mind.
Jesus Christ, get yourself a life.
He's actually a priest.
Yeah.
It's because his brother John Fury eye gouged him. What have I told you all this time? He's going to end up sucked out, fucked out, looking for a handout.
Boxing nutters messenger group. I'm gonna be the king.
J-Pump. You know what I'm saying?
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the 543rd edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I'm your host, Steve Wellings, and joining us on the call, we have Andy Patterson and a returning Adam Smido Smith, going live on YouTube from 8 o'clock every Sunday evening. The ad-free Patreon RSS feed updates shortly after the show concludes. Hello to everyone listening through the week on Google. What is it? Google Podcast? No, I think they've done away with that, actually. I'll have to take that off my list. Apple Podcast, they're still going. Spotify, Sports Social, YouTube, all those good places. Don't forget to leave a review on the podcast player of your choice that the entire month of October, nothing less than 5 stars, is acceptable. We're delighted to have Smido back with us. No idea what's happened to Matty. Hopefully he's still living and will join us by the end of the podcast. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We'll give you a shout out by name as the show goes on. Only one place to start. As I often say, Sheffield Arena in Sheffield, no less. Leigh Wood with a 7th round TKO victory over Josh Warrington. It was never really in doubt, to be honest with you. That's what Smido might tell you. Smido, I'm going to tell you something, right? I do worry about Leigh Wood's long-term health. I'm not going to lie. He takes a lot of shots. He fights like an absolute warrior. He struggles to make weight as well. But this is probably why you're with us tonight in episode 543. He has to be one of the most exciting fighters around at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's every time I come on, I say the list of fighters that I set my clock by on a Saturday night to watch is very, very small nowadays. Very small. You could probably count it on one hand. Leigh Wood's one of them, obviously with the Nottingham connection. But yeah, how he does it is quite amazing, really. To pull so many fights out the fire where he's been, banging trouble, particularly recently. The underdog on this run that he's been on since being with Ben Davidson, and not many of our listeners this evening, Steve, will want to give credit to that man, but I'm pretty sure you're going to have to. I mean, the run he's been on, again, underdog against all these fighters, behind, down against Conlan, behind against Warrington. Obviously, he had to come back for the rematch from Maurizio Lara and got that job done as well. I mean, yeah, it's a remarkable turnaround. I used to say these words about Josh Warrington a few years ago when I was more engaged in boxing and the Boxing Asylum, that the most improved fighter in the country. And I think Josh Warrington was that at one stage. I think improved probably the wrong word with Leigh Wood, but overachieving from where he was a few years ago, flitting around in Sheffield, down the way down the pecking order at the Ingle Gym, too far down for Leigh Wood, hence why he moved. But, literally, and I know we joke every week, leisure centres. I have literally been to a leisure centre to watch Leigh Wood against some Brazilian that they got in on 2 days' notice in 2013. Pretty much he's never had I think he might have been with Hennessy at one time, maybe not. And then he was basically promoting himself and selling tickets himself. And it was all late notice. And he's never really been a matchroom fighter, really. He certainly didn't come on board as one. That Reece Mould opportunity, I think, came around COVID time. He was in that golden contract thing that's, not really to do with matchroom that was on Sky. So if you'd have said to him, even 4 years ago that this was even a couple of the recent wins, never, win the regular title against Kanzu and knock Michael Conlon out, for example, in the 11th round or whatever it was, he'd have took that off you then. But there's so many notches to the story, and to have turned it around from where he was, because he ain't that young, and he wasn't that young when this run started, really. Kanzu was 2 years ago. He was 33 at the time. Like I say, never really had the backing, but he's got it now in terms of his fans, and I don't think there's and the entertaining fights that he brings. I think there's no choice but for someone to back him, i.e., Matchroom, which is great. But yeah, for him to, like I say, 4 or 5 years ago, you'd have said, where's Leigh Wood going? He lost to Jazza Dickens in that final of that golden contract MGK thing, whatever it called, and
MTK shout-out.
Yeah, shout out to them. Jazza Dickens is, pretty talented himself at that level in that time, but Leigh Wood was a strong favourite to beat Jazza Dickens, and he got upset there. The first time really he ever stepped up at the Hull Ice Arena, another one where I was at. He got beat by Gavin McDonald and didn't really, that was the first time he was really hurt. He didn't know what to do, and everything all unravelled there. I mean, we're going a long way back on Leigh Wood's career here, but I mean, yeah, last night we got the fight that we pretty much expected. Really, I mean, we expected Warrington to come out, get close, swing. We've seen it before with some success and a lot of degree of entertainment. I mean, I vividly remember, as will you, Steve, Warrington and Frampton basically going toe-to-toe after 15 seconds of their fight, like straight from the off. And Warrington tried to do that a little bit last night, but Wood wasn't for it. He didn't want to do that. He kind of had to. He was getting caught with shots all over, but we've seen that, he was put down flat on his back by Conlon early doors in that fight. And obviously we know what Lara did to him as well. So he's got that vulnerability, but he's got the the heart and the technique and the power to go with it. Because Leigh Wood, I mean, I followed his career from early doors, given he was in the year above me at school, and he was never really known for his power early doors in bantamweight, and started at bantam, then super bantam, and obviously now feather. But I mean, this run he's been on since hooking up with Davidson for knockouts. All of his wins, I think, have come by knockout.
Why is he knocking people out all of a sudden, do you think?
Well, I think Ben Davidson's obviously an excellent operator, and that's why he's making him sit down on his punches, and he's really bringing that out. And, no, but in all seriousness, you are going to have to credit someone. He's obviously took a massive...
Leigh Wood.
Yeah,
no fucking Ben Guardiola.
Well, brilliant. Give it to Leigh Wood. Something has obviously changed. He's gone away from the Ingalls, and it is obviously a different style, a unique style in Sheffield. He's come away from that. Wherever he ended up, he was going to probably fight differently. He's ended up with Ben Davidson. Some might give him credit, probably not the people on this chat, but yeah, last night he just couldn't get the space that he wanted early doors as Warrington was smothering him, and rightly so. I think that was the game plan that Warrington should have gone with and did. And yeah, he was landing them shots, plenty of hooks, even a couple of jabs from Warrington that we're not used to seeing. But yeah, he just eventually, Woods turned it around. He's pulled it out the fire again. I mean, the stoppage looks fine, pretty fine to me. You could probably see it either way. If I was a big Warrington fan, I would probably argue the other way. His body was stiff and his legs were all over before he even went down. So he was already all over the shop. He got up, fair play to him, but he was still wobbly. And, this narrative's come out about his fate. He was facing the wrong way from the ref. He was, to be fair, although turning around quite late on. The point of contention on the stoppage to me would be that it was because it was at the end of the round. That's why it's a debate. Would he been able to recover and come out for the next round if he'd had a minute on his stool? Probably yes, he probably would. But if it was midway through the seventh and the punches that were landed, maybe 2 or 3 of them were probably unnecessary punches. No one's fault, but he was already kind of, the switch had already gone off, and Wood landed a couple of more punches for good measure as he was on the way down. But because it was the last 2 seconds of the round rather than halfway through, I think that's where the debate comes in. But another cracking fight for Leigh Wood, and you have got to get you. boxing is so shit at the minute. You've got to give credit. You've got to take it where you can. That it's not pay-per-view, although it is subscription, whatever. But he's fought 3 times in a year. They've all been pretty good fights. The Lara rematch, he did what he had to do in terms of getting the win. But fighting regularly in domestic fights, which we always promote on this channel, great stuff. Great stuff.
Absolutely, yeah, we do promote domestic fights indeed. Chris Butler says Wood's got 4 world level wins now. Not many UK fighters have got that. Des made a comment as well. He said Leigh Wood strikes me as a kid who isn't a long range single puncher, but in close short range, I think Leigh carries genuine power. Leigh is dangerous in the pocket, and you shouldn't punch with him. Don't be punching with him, Andy. That's the main takeaway there. What about the ref's call then? Smido mentioned it. I think given the timing at the end of the round, the referee could have been justified. I think that would have been the easy way out in letting him see the minute between rounds. I think because Warrington's fit and it was right at the end of the round, and I'm a bit of a Steve Schmoger character, I would have liked to have seen it carry on. What do you think?
Yeah, I take both points, to be fair. You could argue that because the way he got up, he was definitely on the skanky legs. He turned his back on the referee as the referee's trying to call him back into action or trying to kind of check him out. You could maybe see that. I can understand maybe people saying it's premature, considering that Josh, I would need to say, but I think everybody watching that fight would say that Warrington was well ahead. Even the scorecards proved that point. Could have given him every chance, but at the same time, it was a heavy knockdown. That said as well. But one thing I want to say, and I thought Smithers would have picked up on it. Smithers, you've watched him from the early doors. Have you ever, coming up through the ranks, ever seen Leigh Wood fight southpaw?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely not at this level, but yeah, certainly
exactly.
Yeah.
At this level, I mean, was the plan last night to come out there purely in southpaw to try and fuck with Warrington's method or whatever it was? I mean, Warrington came right out as a bull. Intensity was right up there. Wood, I thought, just couldn't cope the whole fight. As that wore on, it just looked like it was ebbing away from him. And as you say, the power in the end has pulled him out the fire. There's definitely shades of the Gatti about him, without doubt. But come on, we'll see what happened to Gatti at the end of the day, right? Wood has problems with people who kind of put the intensity on him. He struggles to cope from time to time, and he's having to pull it out the fire time after time with his power. And that shit ain't going to work when he starts to go up to 130, man. I mean, that's not going to work on the likes of a Navarrete or a Hector Garcia, possibly. I just don't understand why he went southpaw last year, because he was eating everything down the middle. He was wide open for every shot that he got thrown.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say, he was known even before he went to Sheffield and the Ingles. He was known as a silky boxer. We represented England, didn't quite get it to that Olympic level, but definitely was a England international. And was slick. Always been slick. Even when he was 15, even when I was down at the gym. So yeah, he's definitely got that in him. Obviously, that was amplified when he went to Sheffield, because we all know that they switch it in as a default really for them guys. So yeah, he's got it in him, but it obviously didn't work out very well last night. And it's just crazy to think that that Leigh Wood is being talked about as a big puncher, and not just on last night. Obviously, we've got Conlon, Reese Mold, etc. Zan as well, the Chinese fella. Yeah, it's just mad, really, that if you'd have asked me that many years ago how you see his career panning out, is he going to end up being a puncher? Absolutely not. You'd have said that. So there is, he's obviously made a lot of changes, and it is a big difference to go from that Sheffield setup. I know I've said it a couple of times, to somewhere else. Wherever you go from that Sheffield setup, it's going to be pretty different. From that slick. You could name them all, and to go from that to where he is now is pretty incredible, really.
And Baron Bedsores there says, what happened to Saved by the Bell end of the round, boys? Josh should have at least had the corner before either quitting or coming out for the next round.
That's only the last round, isn't it? I think it's only the last round that can save you.
You can't be saved by the bell.
Aye, until the 12th and final round. I think it's the 12th round. Once that bell goes in the 12th round, that's the fight over. So is that not right? I think that's right. Aye,
yep.
so
most commissions go by that, and sanctioning organisations.
That's how I understood it, at least. But no, I just felt him turning southpaw, because I was kind of sitting there watching it for the first round. I'm saying to myself, okay, that's interesting. And as the fight kind of like Grizzly Warren, I'm saying to myself, he's staying southpaw and he's eating every shot coming down the middle there. I thought he was running the risk himself of getting stopped in that as well. And fair to me, that was down to Leigh Wood pulling it out of the fire at the end of the day. We've seen it for time after time. When the chips are down, he digs deep and he can somehow pull it out of the fire, but he can't keep resorting to that because the damage is going to be telling at this point as well. He's mid-30s now. Got to watch, man. He's got to watch, and as I says, you just don't know if the power when he does go up in weight. Sorry, it seems like it's inevitable. Is the power going to come up? Possibly. Is it going to work on these bigger guys who are going to be rehydrating, like maybe like in the mid 140s after 24 hours? You just don't know. Is it going to have the same effect? Is he going to be able to hold the same weight of shots off these 140 pounders once they've rehydrated after the punishment he's took? Don't know. Because as I said last night, he was wide open for every shot that Warrington threw at him, and bigger puncher could have had him out of there.
I think to put my fanboy hat away for the time being, you could see him. You all know where he's going for, where he wants to go for his next fight. It could be a cash out job, and it could end up with him flat on his back. To be honest,
you gonna go to Vegas when he ends up there, Smith?
No, Froch never made it to Vegas, did he? So I don't think Leigh Wood's gonna make it there either. But no, I can see it being city ground, selling loads of tickets, quite possibly against Warrington, quite possibly at a higher weight class. Warrington's not the man to put him flat on his back, but that you could see that happening without being disrespectful. It's already happened within a fight against Conlon, and he got up to carry on. And Conlon ain't a big puncher. So
what do you do though? What do you do with him next? Actually, once he comes up in weight, because there's no like
Cordina maybe.
Yeah, I just think the weight's irrelevant because I honestly think he's probably only got 1 or 2 fights left in him. So, Warrington or Cordina or any of them.
Des says, he was dead at the weight last night. His legs gave up on him after 3 rounds. That's the way it looked to me. And
Yes.
Warrington made a mistake and he hammered him. And as Michael Thompson says, Andy, he kept Warrington's head at bay going southpaw. Maybe that was part of the plan. So there was some strategic thinking in it, even though it looked to us at the end like... what about the beginning of the 7th, actually? The referee, Michael Alexander, took a point away from Warrington. I don't know. I think he was trying to...
It was around the back of the head,
yeah,
was it?
back of the head.
I think it was something like that. I thought you were talking about a head, but no, I didn't. Well, I did see Warrington, obviously, when he was coming in, that, when they were grappling, the heads were quite close, that type of thing. I was going to say something else, actually, but I just went right out of my head, sorry.
No, you're okay. Mark Stanton says, have you been approached by Forge Stout yet for a sponsorship? They are everywhere you look in boxing. No, but we're happy to...
Well, I know. If you want to nip over to Doubles and Trebles on YouTube, but we're open for sponsors as well, yeah.
There you are, Smido coming on for the spot. Hey, Smido, I defended you in the chat. They said he's here because it's darts season starting up again. I said, no, Smido's here for Leigh Wood. And I was wrong, Smido.
The darts final is on right now, and I'm not watching it because I'm speaking to you guys.
Who's in the darts final?
I think, is it Price and Humphreys World Grand Prix final, I think.
Oh, very good. There you go. World Grand Prix is going on. Go over and watch it, everybody, and leave us if you want to. Smido, you stick along around for as long as you want. I know you only saw the Wood fight, but we'll come back to you if you do indeed stick around. Dominic's with us as well in the absence of rapping Rob Kelly. Ben Russell threw in a question there. It was more of a comment, really, Dominic. He said, Inoue said Wood was the hardest puncher he's fought. I've seen this article as well. Apparently, before the Jamie McDonald fight, Inoue brought Leigh Wood over. I'm not really sure what the crack was. He was very heavy, and he said that Wood could absolutely bang. He was a puncher, and he was a decent, big, strong fighter. So an Inoue endorsement for Leigh Wood, if nothing else, this weekend.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wasn't aware that that Wood had been over sparring with Inoue, and there's no question that the guy can really dig at 9 stone. But I would sort of endorse what Andy was saying about there being doubts about whether that'll translate up to 130 pounds. I would I don't think it'll be as effective up there. I'll just start off, Steve, by I got a message from Rob saying he couldn't come on and asking me what I fill in for him. Minus Rob's humour, of course, but
you're very early as well.
But he
left. Just fuel the YouTube haters. I'm only joking.
He left a voice note giving his breakdown of the fight, so I'll try and relay as best I can what he was saying. But Rob, first of all, didn't have too much of a problem with the stoppage. He thought the stoppage was fair enough, given that Wood nearly, as Rob put it, he nearly killed Mick Conlon, and that was a very scary situation. But the big thing Rob was saying as well was, I think the guys have touched on it already, the fact that he caught Warrington coming in with a southpaw right. It sort of it allows Ben Arcel. I know Andy calls him Ben Guardiola. I call him Ben Arcel. It allows him to sort of continue to claim he's a genius, and it sort of overrides the reality that the plan to come out southpaw. For the most part, it really did backfire. Quite considerably. I thought Wood had more success when he tried the box orthodox at Reigns in the centre of the ring. I know some of the guys in the chat there said that Wood was more effective up close because his legs were shot from the struggle of making the weight, and therefore he was safer and better, at close quarters. But there was a few rounds in the middle of the fight where I felt when he tried to keep it long and orthodox, he looked safer there to me. He looked a bit more comfortable. But it's Rob was pretty much adamant that he needs to get rid of Ben Davison moving forward, or moving sideways, or moving whatever direction to move in. But I, for my own opinion, I'm sort of with you, Steve. I felt the stop. I wouldn't push it too hard, but I certainly felt the stoppage was potentially the wrong call. The fact is that a lot of people, I think, seem to think that the big thing was when the bell sounded. To me, the bell looks to have sounded just after Warrington hit the canvas and before the count started. So therefore, the round had officially ended. Now, it's possible that the ref, may have in the sort of hysteria of everything that was going on, he may not have fully clocked that the round was over. I think he probably did know the round was over, but I just think because it's a world title fight, a guy should be given every opportunity. And as I was saying to you earlier, I think if it could have turned what was already an excellent fight into something very dramatic in the next couple of rounds, if Warrington was trying to, sort of hold on and get himself back into the fight, because he was well ahead. There's no question about that. But as for what happens now, I think the Cordina fight is the if he does go up to 130, that's the most likely thing. But I wouldn't fancy him at all in that fight. I think Cordina would probably stop him. And then if he is it looks like it's not. It looks like it's a bad idea for him to try to stay at featherweight. What would he do if he stayed at featherweight?
Well, it's a shame because him and Lopez would be a good fight, I think.
It would be a good fight, but I think he would get knocked out in that fight, Steve.
He would, but he'd be good until he did.
It would be good until he did.
And you never know. You never know with him.
No, you're right. I think that's a good point. I think there's definitely he hits hard enough at that weight. And with the IVs that are reportedly getting into him after the weigh-in, he'll be strong enough. Maybe the guys want to touch on that. There's persistent rumors that they get him back to the hotel room after the weigh-in, and he gets the IV drip in him to strengthen him up. And I think I should say this. I don't really care. Like I just said, he does come across like a very nice guy. But I would question where the knockout powers come from in latter fights. And not just the whole issue of IVs after the weigh-in.
Well, if he's going to get caught, he's going to get caught on an Eddie show. So at least we know that.
Yeah. I don't like to say it because
if he's been taking an IV, that's against the you know what.
Yeah.
I mean, if you need an IV, you need to be in hospital. That is a cut and thrust of the matter. Mm-hmm. Too many of these DIY doctors not on the side. That's where you get fucking. This is how fighters get caught.
And to be fair, we don't know 100% this is the case. Is that right, Dominic?
No, it's just rumors, but they're persistent rumors. Like they're. And
the rumor was that he wasn't feeling too hot after the weigh, and apparently he was on the verge of collapse. That's the rumor.
See, he did look in the face in the weigh, and I was just thinking about this earlier. Now, he did look quite ghost-like in the face, but I felt his midriff, his torso, everything, and that looked a bit healthier. But you can't really say. You're just looking at it at a distance, but it's sort of in terms of how easy it is to hit. That's a big concern. It looks worse because he has that mop of hair on his head, and every time he gets tagged, it sort of shakes about, and it looks probably worse than it is. But
yeah, I'm a fan of. I'm not saying this like being sort of funny or anything, but I'm a fan of fighters just shaving the hair off. David Lemieux was like that. He always had this big, massive mop of sort of like a Bobby Charlton comb over, and every time he took a jab off Golovkin, I remember it was flying about all over the place. And I think it could influence some, less experienced judges, maybe.
yeah, that was in the Golovkin fight. That was the worst example. I think it was really glaring in that fight. And it was good. You could see it was sort of coming back round and almost getting in his eyes. I mean, you've heard. I think most of it. There's been stories in the past. When a fighter, I think before Calzaghe fought Leigh, Enzo Calzaghe at the pre-fight rules meeting after the weigh-in, Leigh was sporting a big beard, and Enzo forced him to shave it off. But
old-time trainers always would have done it back in the day, wouldn't they? Danny Williams, I remember, grew a big beard the once and they made him shave it off and all. I suppose it's much for gamesmanship as anything else, but Larry Merchant referred to it like maybe grinding away in the clinches at someone's eye. I don't think it would do too much damage, but it could be a factor.
like sort of like making a cut worse and
yeah,
I sort of undermine a cut man's efforts to sort of clean up a cut, and it's you see that, but well, it's I thought you have to say it was a very good fight, excellent fight, and there's no question Wood he can really dig at that weight. I thought Warrington, I was impressed by him because he was denying. He looks to me like a fighter who he does the basics very well, but he looks like he's very, very good at following a game plan to the absolute, to the letter of what they've laid out in training. Like
you know what I think he did well as well. Sorry to interrupt you, but I'll forget if I don't say it. I think he did a very good job of closing the range very quickly. I think his footwork was underrated last night. He stood off, and then when he got in the range, his feet got him in so quickly. He had a couple of shots off already before Wood was able to react.
Oh, that's very true. That's a good point. And also, what I liked was after he did his work, he would a lot of time he'd go for a wee walk just to deny Wood a bit of rhythm. He was very deliberately trying, I thought, not to sort of give any display any rhythm to his work. So he was sort of changing the tempo and the pace of the attacks.
Yeah, so it wasn't like we know he's going to do this, then come in, do this, come in constantly. He was mixing it up a bit.
Yeah, definitely. I thought I was impressed by him. I thought it looked like they'd done good work, and he was following a game plan very well. But yeah, it's sort of on the stoppage again. It's he had his back turned, yes. But I sometimes almost wondered, did Warrington, had he heard the bell, and was he believing that the round was over and that he didn't actually have to turn around until he did? It's hard to know what actually happened.
I think he had a few bells ringing in his ears by that point.
Yeah, I just would have liked to see him given the chance. It's World Championship boxing. I think I was just thinking about this before it came on. I think none of it. Some of the guys were talking about. I think it was Smitho was talking about there the punches that Warrington took after the first punch. The punches that he took on the way down, they were really, really accurate on the chin. And of course, none of us like to see guys taking shots that they don't really need to take. But sometimes I fear that we're in danger of losing sight of what the game really is and what it's all about. It's you can't there's a point beyond which you can't water the sport down any further. And if you do, it's not boxing anymore. It's not fighting. It's World Championship boxing. I would have liked to have seen him given at least a chance. Because as you say, I think the point you made, Steve, is fair. And his fitness is a key factor. That fitness allows you to recover quickly. Now, I'm not saying, I know the referee can't have that as his primary consideration when he's deciding in those split moments whether to stop a fight. But I think good referees would silently take that into account. Would find a good referee would sort of have some cognizance of that, of the character and the makeup of the fighter whose fate he's about to decide. And I think it could have become, as I say, I think it could have become even more of a memorable fight in the following rounds. But yeah, it's don't know where he goes from here. I don't really know if I'd want to see a rematch even at 130. Hard to know.
Chris Butler there saying this wasn't a controversial stoppage. I don't really think it was controversial either, but I think there was enough going on that it's well worthy of a debate. I think that would be my...
Yeah.
And also as well, just quickly, the business about... I was pretty much sleeping earlier when they were talking about Saved by the Bell. I don't think that Saved by the Bell is the reason why I think it should have gone on. Like, I know that's factually, it couldn't have been Saved by the Bell. I was more going on about the referee making the call, but as Dominic said there, the referee's got to weigh all these things up. You know, two-time former world champion, very experienced, very, very fit, had been winning up to this point. The ref's got to sort of work all that out in his head. But then again, people are very critical of referees other weekends and expect them to do a lot of things in a short space of time and make snap decisions. So I suppose we can't have our cake and eat it. I'm just going to bring Smido back in because I'm conscious that he's probably going to disappear off at some point. There's the scores on the screen, Smido. I'm sure you can see them. 58-56 to Warrington, 59-55 times 2. No real complaints over the way the scoring was going at the time of the stoppage?
No, I think that's about right. I mean, everyone would have expected Warrington to be in front. Let's have it right. And and although everyone might have expected that, it's not always what you get. I remember, even fights that have not gone the distance, you're still shocked when you see the race card, when you see the scorecard, even though you've got the result. So yeah, not much argument with that for me, Steve. I mean, it's a very, very long time since I've sat and scored a fight. I don't really give a damn, but yeah, no surprises there, and actually good for a change. Good to see.
And I'll tell you something else, Mido. I've got it up here. I was going to put it on for Bellew of the week, but I think the Bellew's on us maybe for this one. Nottingham and Leeds under one roof in Sheffield. Saturday's going to be wild. I thought it would be absolute carnage. Both of these fan bases descending on Sheffield. Sheffield Wednesday at home against Huddersfield on the afternoon as well. I tell you what, the atmosphere sounded absolutely class, and they buoyed it up, didn't they, with the promos? You see them on DAZN, they're both wearing the sort of hooligan gear and running around with the flares and all that. It did sound like a class atmosphere, and I didn't hear too many reports of people being hit with chairs or anything, which is always possible.
Well, I mean, it might have something to do. The main event actually went off at a reasonable time, a reasonable-ish time.
No, disgusting.
But yeah, awful. Frank will be turning in his grave. But what you could say about these two, though, obviously I can't vouch for Josh Warrington 100%, but he has always had the Leeds connection, the Leeds football connection, always. So, and obviously Leigh does as well. So it does appear to be genuine fans rather than the likes of Ebony Bridges taking on a football team within the UK.
Good stuff. Anything else you want to throw into me, in case we lose you? Any Anthony Joshua updates? Are you watching any other boxing? Any darts? What's the crack?
Yeah, darts is ongoing. Price is 1-0 up in the final against Luke Humphries. Well, it could be a while, Steve.
I've got all night.
What's the next fight I'm looking forward to? Maybe Conor Benn and Chris Eubank if that happens, but that's a whole kind of different kind of worms. I just think that it's just a shit show. It's just a shit show. The whole thing's a shit show, and it's once every quarter, 3 or 4 months that a good fight like this. We look forward to it.
Is boxing shit and a big waste of everybody's time?
Yes. And the sooner, Steve, I mean, you and Andy are entrenched in it, but the sooner the likes of you and Andy and Dominic, to an extent, realise that boxing is shite, your life will improve.
So what are we going to do on a Sunday night, man?
Do you listen to me moan every other fucking weekend about the state of this fucking sport for the last?
This is like the 8 o'clock mass for people, man. Where are these people going to go, Smido? This is like heroin addicts out on the streets.
Yeah, but the people that are listening to us on a Sunday night really haven't got anywhere else to go. So yeah, it is a public service that we are offering, and I do genuinely. I'm not even kidding. I do genuinely take my hat off to people that are dedicated to it, like you two. You're fucking mental. You're mental. Some of the fights that you lads watch live and on replay, you're mad. But yeah, that's off to you. But yeah, I've come full circle really though. Like Andy was very proud of my transformation. I was team Matchroom to start with, and then I made a full U-turn there, and that was one of Andy's proudest.
I wore you down. It was my greatest conversion.
Yeah, you did, and you were successful in it, and I don't mind admitting that. But yeah, I just come full circle. I mean, it like everywhere you turn, there's problems. Like, and they do genuinely, unless
you marriage Smido in it. There's always
problems. But boxing's always been like this, though, Smido. There's always been controversy, people getting killed and whatnot.
It probably has, Steve. But when you come in as a bit of a fresh-faced newcomer, you're all innocent and everything's rosy, and then in the end you realise it isn't. And I was just I don't know what word you want to use, but I was just, clever enough to jump off the train while I still had the chance. You guys are never getting off.
It's always been shit though, as I say, Smith. You got Marvin Hagler having to take lawsuits to get a world title fight. You've got Ali getting bombed out the sport for 3 years because he refused to get signed up to the army. You've got fucking guys black fighters back in the 20s and 30s not getting title fights just purely because of their skin colour. Can you imagine that happening these days? Holy fuck! But still, it survives, man. It's like
It's
like
been
the
a good
rats.
year. It's been a good year,
rats, man,
for boxing.
But
it's been all right in terms
I
of
want you to take me back to the Leisure Centre period. I want you to take me back to Injin Chi versus Michael Brody. Seriously,
that was a great fight.
That's where I want to be. That's where I want to be. Like I don't want to listen to 5 and 6 interviews a day from.
But hang on a minute, Smitho. Is that just not nostalgia? Maybe the youngsters of today who aren't as weathered as us are having these moments by watching Leigh Wood against Josh Warrington that we had 20 years ago.
No, Steve, because in a serious answer to that, they're not. The people. Was that someone's doorbell?
Someone's at your door, I think.
No, it's not my door.
It was 30 years ago last night, by the way, just so you bring that up, talk about nostalgia of the sport. Ben Eubank rematch was 30 years ago yesterday at Old Trafford. There you go. That's how fucking old I feel, mate. I was 13 that night.
Wow. No, but in answer to Steve's question, the people aren't watching Injin Chi against Michael Brody because it's not readily available. Yeah, you can say what you want about the zone, and we will take a dump on it. But you have to sign up. You have to have the app. You have to do whatever. Sky Sport, your mum and dad at home have Sky have this or the whole Sky package, and you might just trip over and land on Injin Chi and Michael Brody. That you pretty much can't do that anymore because what they're delivering on Sky is an absolute joke, and then anything away from Sky is an extra sign up. BT, the Zone, whatever.
Sky.
I've got Sky at home and I don't get BT unless I pay extra. I'm on Sky at home and I don't get the Zone unless I pay extra. Like you just can't stumble across it. Like you can't be there organically. Like, and this
Sky's more universal. You're saying because people will have it for the football. It's easily accessible.
Yes,
it's not tucked away on an app that doesn't work half the time. Allegedly.
Yes. And what they're delivering on Sky is absolutely awful. Like, and anything that's okay on Sky is given the pay-per-view treatment.
Shalom, they're going to get rid of Shalom soon. You would imagine, Smido. You would at Sky surely get back Bean. Bring back Bean.
Well, yeah, that's a different story. But yeah, there's so many for people that were a big fan like me, and like I say, I've travelled to fucking Hall Ice Arena. I've been over to MSG to watch fights. Blah blah blah. I don't want credit for that. I'm just saying that's where I was. I booked half days off work to watch Duradollar against the Russian Hammer on Box Nation. That this has all happened. So I was there. I was there, and to be as far away as I am now it's a shame on the sport, and they're putting up that many reasons and for you not to be a fan. It's so whether that's pay-per-view, whether that's drugs, whether that's getting bullshit title shots, whether it's the price of tickets to go or the aggro when you go. Like there's the list for reasons not to be a boxing fan is quite long.
Smido, you sound like someone who's come back to Alcoholics Anonymous and said, "Lads, come on! If I can do it, you can do it too."
Well, yeah, we've gone down a different direction than I was planning here, but yeah, that's where I am. There's nothing to look forward to. We've got Tyson Fury against some MMA dude. The biggest card on DAZN this year takes place next Saturday, and it's full of YouTubers, and that's also a big worry as well. The whole thing's a mess, but it may well have been a mess for 100 years, as Andy alludes to.
Smitho, I'm feeling a bit nostalgic here because I was just saying to Steve before I came on. I'm more like you, Smitho, than you might believe. I'm in that limbo land between hardcore and casual, and I was just saying to Steve, I feel like Hater Dave coming on here without having seen most of the fights.
Yeah. But what is the reason to watch most of the fights when it's, when it's women's boxing, which will upset some people, but it's shite, and B, when it's 100 to 1 on favourite, 2-0 against someone who's 50 or 0-50, like they're not giving you reason to watch the other fights, and anything that's they always take in the easiest route to success or to a title, and then whenever it does get above anything above British level now. Is pay-per-view, and that's a big problem.
Well, on women's boxing, it's 10 2-minute rounds at the moment. They're talking about moving it to 12 3-minute rounds. Sorry, it is 10 Yeah, 12 3-minute rounds, sorry. So that for equality reasons, Smido. So we can watch an extra 12 minutes of some of these fights. Isn't that a good thing?
Steve.
That's equality, though, Smiddle. That's all about. That's what we want, mate. That's what we need to know. They fight same as the men.
Well, equality is fine, but I still won't watch it, and that's my choice. But I can still proudly say that I have never, ever, ever watched a full round of women's boxing, ever. Not a single one.
You're a hater.
Yeah.
I wonder.
It's good. Go on, Dominic.
I wonder if Sky, how long they are for continuing to broadcast boxing at all, Steve. Never mind second off Shalom, but I mean, who would they get to replace him? Fat Mick?
No, what they might, Fat Mick's behind the scenes with Shalom.
Yeah,
at
Hennessy,
the
as
moment,
we say, Hennessy.
but he's working with Shalom, and the fact that it's not getting any better, we could maybe lay the blame at Fat Mick's door. But I think what they would do is they wouldn't sack off boxing altogether. I think they'd retain like the Bob Arum deal, but get rid of domestic boxing, maybe something like that. They would possibly do.
I was waiting to say, give like Steve Wood the chance, give him a couple of dates. He was putting a good couple of Friday night shows. It doesn't need to be prime time Saturday. Put on a Friday night show.
Second promotions,
title fights, a couple of area title fights, British title, Commonwealth title fights, whatever it's going to be.
Cyclone Promotions, Dominic's calling for there, Andy.
Oh.
What are they doing these days?
Well, I don't know, mate. You've destroyed them, apparently. In court. Steve Wellington, the promoter slayer. Man, go get him with chat your door, mate, with a fucking son-off shotgun. You fucking bastard.
My biggest win. No, well, I don't know. I don't know if is Steve Wood the answer, Andy. I'm not sure, man. What should Sky be doing? Do you think?
Well, I'm not saying he's the answer, though, mate. What I'm saying is, in terms of like quality control, man, I dare say the guys listening to that. What is the point of sitting watching? I need to go and pull up the card details and that. But a lot of these. Right, okay. A lot of these cards have probably like either got prospects on it against like a 15-1 fucking type of opponent. You might have a couple of 50-ish type fights. You have a couple of women's fights on there that nobody's interested in, really. Must be real about it. And then you might just get one world title fight. Why don't you just stack it with like domestic 50-50 title fights for British, Commonwealth, area titles? Guys would be far more interested in watching that on a Friday night with a couple of tins than watching some of the trash that Ben's has almost been putting up and putting on the main event. Wait until like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night for a main event.
Main event's too late. Here, Des says Sky shouldn't have an exclusive deal with any promoter. Exclusive deals do not help boxing. I've been saying that for years. They should say, right, bring this to the table. We've got this money. We've got these dates. Bring me something to the table and impress me. And I'll put it on. But that leads me to believe, Andy, that Sky don't want what we want. I don't think they're maybe that interested in having too many equal fights. They're interested in building stars, stupid mismatches, saying that women's fights are world titles, all this type of stuff. I think they're looking for something different from what we are. They want social media clicks and all this, not Commonwealth title fights.
Building stars means pay-per-view buys.
Well, that's what I was going to say. They've got no stars. I mean, how long's Ben Shalom been at the helm now? 18 months?
Give him a chance. He's doing his best.
But it's been trash, mate. Let's be honest about it. He's spunked his budget possibly on a Coley and whatever else he's bought, and it hasn't happened. He hasn't even got a pay-per-view star attraction. He's got the Dan Aziz fight against Boatsi coming up, I think. But none of those are big stars. That's just a domestic level fight, to be honest with you. Boatsi's never proven that he's world level. Aziz has proven that he's European British title level.
That's what I'm saying. With Sky, you can accidentally land on boxing and have an entertaining, night. If you're flicking through and, for someone who doesn't follow rugby union, you just turn it straight over. But if it's boxing, it's so easy to understand. There's two lads in there beating crap out of each other. Great. You give it a minute. If it's any good, you might give it 10 minutes or half an hour. But it's just the opportunity for that's just not there, is it?
There's a good comment here, Stevie MB. 3 evenly matched fights is enough, like showbox, not bored on the level. True. Look at pro boxing, the fights that we watch so many times and that. Yeah. How often have I said that as well? As I'll not even watch Sky or some of the zone shit. I'd rather watch something for Europe because it's on par, similar level of quality and quality control.
Well, HBO were like that. Showtime are like it now. I've said it before. I know we're going down tangents and stuff, but there's too much boxing on. Now, everybody can get on the TV, which is absolutely great, but the likes of Showtime, HBO, you have to get to a certain level. You'll see guys on Showbox now on a Friday night, and if they perform and get a few good wins, they'll maybe be elevated to that third slot on Showtime, like you're saying, Andy. But it was a mark of quality. You knew if you got on getting on HBO was a mark of quality. Like, I remember Maurice Hooker got on the once and he stunk the place out and they said they were never having this guy on here again because he didn't meet that quality control and fight the way they wanted him to. Now every man and his dog or every woman and their dog can get onto the
It's
television.
not because of these apps and stuff, but you're absolutely right, mate. I mean, ESPN back in the day was the same thing. Thursday night fights. If you got to there, you were pretty much not so much on the cusp of world level, but you were chatting on the door basically. This is you getting ready to go up into potentially, as you say, TVKO, which was the forerunner for HBO. Showbox had its own run as well for like Showtime, that type of thing. And if you progress, that's how you made it. But you say you've got Fight TV, all these different apps and YouTube. Not everybody can get out there and that type of thing. But the quality is just there.
What they don't realise that they're doing is by this increase in pay-per-view, which has happened over way before the zone, probably the last 10 years. It started with being the cream of the crop, then a bit lower, then any all Brit fight, then anything above British level. They're just decreasing the size of the market. It's just bastardising itself.
Aye. Another thing as well is another thing, as I just mentioned there, Steve. I mean, as I say, 30 years ago this weekend for Ben Eubank 2, how many TV stations did you think we had back in them days? There was no pay-per-view that I can recall anyway. It was like, it was on ITV, I think, as well. It was like 20 million viewers or something, maybe even more.
How many people do we think watched last night on the Zone Live? From the UK.
3,122.
You'd be lucky if there was 10,000, I would say.
Albert Ross says, bring back HBO. You clearly did not see the end of HBO boxing before it died. HBO is never coming back. We need to forget about that as well. And Scotty70 says, embarrassing to be discussing girls boxing as a saviour to Sky Boxing. Yeah, but you're not listening. We're not. That's what we're saying. It's not that the fact that they're trying to push that will be their demise.
Yeah, I called that years ago because they could say there's 2 world title fights on the card. Yeah, but one of them is a women's world title where there's only 22 women in the whole world in that weight.
I'm sure HBO's last ever card was headlined by a women's fight, was it not, Steve?
Celia Brackus, wasn't it?
Was it against
somebody? Can't remember.
Wasn't it against Shields? Was it? No, I don't think it was.
No, it wasn't Shields. And then Bivol Pascal was one of the last ones. Jacobs Derevinchenko was. And they'd changed all the branding, haven't they, by that point? HBO ain't coming back to boxing. Showtime is... People say... I've heard people say, and with the best of will in the world, oh, man, now that Showtime's going, maybe HBO will come back. There is less chance of HBO coming back. Because if they'll look at it and say, if Showtime are off, they've had enough, then we sure as hell ain't pissing our money up the wall as well. Boxing does minimal numbers. Nobody's interested.
Yeah, and everybody's want to get paid. You've got promoters like Eddie Hearn and Al Heyman for another point of the degree in that, all saying like, "Oh, we'll make the big money." What happens when the well's dry? That's what's happened. There's no money left. Everyone's wanting to get paid, and that's why they're having to take the Saudi money or whatever it is abroad now at this point.
HBO used to dominate because they were the only network spending real money, and they had quality control. And to be fair, it was when Heyman started getting the big purses that the quality control disappeared.
Here's something for you.
Fighting once a year.
I rewatched Juan Manuel Marquez against Michael Katsidas on Friday night, right? I was just checking the detail of it all. Now, at that time, Marquez was classed as a lineal and true lightweight champion in the world, right? How much do you think he got paid that night against Katsidas?
Probably $500,000.
1.2 million. Katsidas got about, I think it was about $500,000 or something, maybe even slightly less than that. How much do you think those two would be demanding these days to put that fight on?
How much does Devin Haney want?
Fucking pay-per-view money, man, I'm telling you.
Well, they're saying Jamel Charlo made $15 million to fight Canelo, and he's coming out afterwards saying, at least I come out and I didn't get hurt. And there's people defending him. I've heard other boxing shows. People defending him, saying, you want him to go in there and get hurt? It's fucking boxing. What's he going in the ring for? He's not going to throw punches. You think I'm going to accept that? $85 for a pay-per-view? And you're going to say, oh, well, I come out with my family and I dared to be great and I didn't get hurt in there. Are you joking me? You know the risks when you're going in and getting paid that amount of
Jesus
money.
Christ. You're a boxer. You know what's going to be happening in there. But again, that was pathetic last week as well. This should be mentioned. That $15 million worth of patheticness.
Minimum, some people were saying. I'm shouting now. My son's banging the wall, the roof up above me. So I'm making too much noise. You've caused this, Smido.
Yeah, well, on that note, I'm off.
Welling's on a rage.
Thanks for coming on.
Well,
we'll catch you again.
Yeah, cheers, fellas. See you.
Take care, brother. Cheers.
See you, mate.
Bye. There you are. Got rid of him as well.
That's what the old saying goes, mate. If you've got a problem, fuck it off.
Oh dear. Should we close the show down now and go home? No. We'll carry on.
Finish up, mate. Let's go home now. Game's,
It was an
the game's
interesting.
finished. Listen, it's whether my boxing's fucking done. Let's go home. Shut the lights off.
Seriously though, people do come here on a Sunday evening. We know a lot of the ones in the chat say they don't even watch boxing, but they need something to do with themselves, and we have a laugh. That's the main thing, isn't it? So we can't take ourselves too seriously. Anyway, on to the undercard, which Dominic didn't watch. Me and you, Andy, we'll go through this one as best as we can. Kieran Conway, 6th round win over Linus Adofia. I had a little graphic to do with that actually. There's Adofia. He says, I'm okay, no fractures or breaks. There's the picture on the screen. I think Des put this up earlier. The ref made the right decision. My eye was shut. I felt I boxed to a T. It's boxing. We'll be back. Thank you, Kieran and Matchroom, for the opportunity. Congratulations. We'll be back. I love you all. Fair play to Adofia there. Taking the decision. It was the right decision. Absolutely. He'll come back again. Hopey Price, good fight against Conor Coghill. Had his troubles earlier, even though Coghill's not a puncher. Price turned things around and Coghill's gas tank just disappeared. Terry Harper Breakers. I was a bit smiddo on this one. I flashed through, so I wasn't really watching. Junaid Boss Stan. I like the look of him. I've seen him a couple of times now. Good fighter. Looks like there's something to work with there. What did you make of the undercard, Andy?
I was flicking back and forward, mate, between the German cards, so I was kind of minimal on this one, to be fair. I did catch the Breakers fight purely because she's Norwegian and to see if she could pull it off, and I thought she did. And the cards, well, fucking hell. The Bob Williams card, 97-93, absolute joke. I thought Breakers won the fight. I'm not going to get out my pram about it, to be fair, but I thought she won the fight. I kind of turned over and kind of caught the Adolphe fight, just kind of like maybe the last 2 rounds. Decent enough scrap for what I seen of it at that point, but I did notice in round 5 that the eye was getting pretty bad. I was surprised actually, kind of like early doors around 6. He actually answered the bell. Actually, to be fair, I thought maybe the referee could have called the doctor into the corner actually and let him see it there, rather than having a look at it himself and just calling it off. But he took it away with a wee bit of class and that. So I like to see him hopefully maybe get a chance to fight the winner of the British title fight between who's the British champion at middleweight. Sorry.
Oh God, this is where we need Aussie, another victim of the sport. Can't even remember, to be honest with you.
No worries. So hopefully he gets a shot at the winner of Conway and the champion anyway. To be fair, and that's all I kind of caught, mate. I think I maybe caught the kind of the stoppage of Hopey Price, Coghill. I think it was body shots. I think Price caught him with. Pretty brutal. Left hook to the body for what I can recall. But that's all I kind of caught of the card, mate. It was only just about the main event for me, to be fair. And I just wanted to see if Brackus could turn back the time, which, to be fair, because since she's 42, she did show a wee bit of flashes.
She looked fat, didn't she? I thought a wee bit.
Aye, I mean, mate, she's at 54 now. Her best weight is 47. As you say, she's 40 now, mate. That's what happens when they got made, you know. Put on a wee few bit of the pounds and that, mate. But yeah, I thought she won the fight, but wasn't it to be.
Denzel Bentley's the British champion, Albert Ross says, right enough, yeah.
Right.
Good fighter, Denzel. It's funny the way those kind of guys have gone, Andy. Denzel Bentley's sort of been the best of the bunch. I remember the Adofia, Isaac Chamberlain, Bentley. There was a few others whose names I'm probably forgetting, all came through at that same time. And Adofia, talented. Chamberlain, definitely a talented fighter. They just haven't got the backing. Fights have fallen through. Adofia, grossly inactive. Denzel Bentley, I don't know whether he's taken the opportunities. He's come back from his losses and maybe he's shown a different attitude to the others, maybe. I don't know. But he seems to have just rose above them and they've really struggled, the other two guys.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I think Bentley's attitude's been pretty spot on. I mean, you remember the Alb Canuli fight? I mean, okay, he got beat and, you know, it was white.
Gave a good account of himself.
Ah, exactly. Yeah. He wasn't disgraced anyway. He wasn't blown out. He wasn't getting punched all over the ring and that. He was definitely in the fight. He just wasn't competitive enough in some of the rounds to kind of get him to swing his way, and he's come back and won defended the British title. So I don't know if he wins this fight, his next fight, would that be him keeping the title outright? Which if it is the case, then
he's fighting Nathan Heaney, isn't he? He's defending the title against Nathan Heaney in Manchester. I expect Bentley to beat Heaney. I think he'll stop him. So let me see. Smith, he'll need another one, I think, before he can keep it, unless he held on to it when he moved up because he had it before. I'm not sure, but anyway, it's Heaney next, Andy.
No worries. So the winner of that against Conway, hopefully if he gets a shot as well. I thought he was getting a good account of himself. Actually, I do agree with what he was saying there. It's just unfortunate. It just shows you. But to be fair, I have seen fighters fight through far worse. Actually, to be absolutely honest, but you can see by the swell. You got the picture there, Steve. Still, aye.
Oh, I think I might have deleted it.
Sorry, it's okay. Just if you look at the eye and that, you can maybe see why the referee stepped in there because you're thinking, well, is it swelling or is it potentially a broken artery? Yeah, there it's there.
It's a bad one, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like
you can't fight on with that.
Yeah, it could have been a broken orbital bone possibly. So you can't take that risk, and that especially risking the guy's eyesight. So hopefully he's back soon.
Yeah. Des said, Chris Butler, it's the 18th of November card. It's that Magnificent 7 thing that Frank's doing, I think. Scotty 70, yeah, a 42-year-old woman being the main event. I agree with you. Des says, how is Harper a TV fighter? Awful style, terrible talker. Her risk-averse approach is tedious. Fighters should try and win. Terry tries not to lose. That's the issue I have. I have no problem with women's boxing. I've said before, if it's a good fight and a fight I'm interested in, like when Katie Taylor fought Serrano or Chantel Cameron, the rematch, I'll watch it. When she fought Pursoon as well, whenever the Groat fought Savannah Marshall, I treat it like a man's fight. I'll watch it. I'm interested in the two combatants. There's context, there's a storyline, there's a bit of intrigue. It's the fact when they put these women in for the fact, basically, that they're women. You know, it's a virtue signaling thing. Like if Terry Harper's chief support, if I was interested in watching her fight and she was against a good opponent, I would say, fair enough. I'm happy to watch that. But they're putting them forward against absolute opponents. I'm not in Harper's case, but opponents who are no hopers. They're high up the card. The opponents are shit. There's about 15 women in weight divisions, and it shouldn't be pushed to us as if it's good quality fare. Oh, they're triple world champions. They've got all these belts. Who have they beat? You know, that's the problem I have with the fights. Anyway, I'm shouting again. I'm going to have to try and calm down. I'm going to end up having an issue on something.
Swindle's got you really worked up.
I'm all right. Friday night, Andy, did you see the BT Sports card? I didn't end up watching it. I know the lads in the chat were watching it. I just didn't get a chance.
Who was that again?
Mark Leach against Masood Abdullah. Ellis Zorro against Luca Di Ortenzi.
Let me just see, mate. If I pull the card up. No, I didn't see that, mate, to be fair.
No, I didn't see that either. Dominic's going through the Ramirez-Smith fight, so I'm giving him a chance to get through that before we move on to that. As for next week as action, I have an interesting one to throw out to you. Actually, I think we had a comment coming from somebody. It's StreamYard again. They seem to delete things. You put things in. I said this to Matty before, and then they delete them on you for some reason. Thomas Smith, it was actually.
Talking about next week, actually. Luis Concepcion's fighting next week in Mexico.
Luis Concepcion?
I remember him. He fought Hernan Marquez.
Yes.
He came over here and fought Calvin Yafai.
One of the Yafais, that's right. Yeah, he must be up in age now, him.
I don't know what age he is now, maybe he's fighting next week. 40-10 he is now.
Mate, 10 losses. Yeah, Thomas Smith there, he said, I'm sure you'll agree with this one, Andy. Are we all the background characters in a Leigh Wood movie? He's out Rockying Rocky at this stage. Absolute scenes. He had no right to do what he did to Warrington there. He was weight drained, struggling with Warrington's tight defence and fighting the wrong fight. Fair play to the lad. Fair enough summation?
Yeah, it says, at the end of the day, I personally felt it was all down to him at the end of the day, regardless what the tactics were. If the whole move to go southpaw was purely just to kind of try and negate Warrington come in with the head, to be fair, mate, it didn't work. If that was the sole purpose, then he needs to remember he's got to defend punches, and maybe the weight issue was a massive factor in that. But he's pulled it out the fire again. But we didn't want to keep seeing and saying this. Seeing him taking a beating and saying that he's going to have to keep pulling out the fire, because there's only so often you can keep going to the well like that. And at 33, 34 years of age, there's going to come a point. And now he's going up in weight. As I mentioned, you fight a guy who, after 24-hour rehydration, is potentially 140, 145 in terms of weight. And that power just isn't affecting the same like it did in 126. So, as I say, it's fair play to him anyway.
Absolutely. Fair play to Captain Casual as well, aka Damo, throwing in 50 notes, 50 quid from Damo. He says, Jesus, all this naysayer talk. So throwing in some of my winnings as your new king of the Boxing Nutters Messenger Prediction League to chuck into the meter to try and keep the lights on of Boxing Asylum Towers. Absolutely. Shout out to Damo. He is the winner.
So that means we need to stay on for next hour, Steve, till that clears.
Yeah, we're going to have to. Damo's good for the money. You see these boys, I keep telling them to keep their money in their pocket, man. They've got more money than sense. Fair play to Damo. He's just won the Prediction League, Andy. So he's living high on life at the moment. All the other boys have thrown in the money. Well, everyone who takes part throws in a few quid, and then I throw in a few quid on our behalf as well. So it is a nice little pay packet for the winner. If you want to get in, patreon.com/Boxing Asylum. And Joe Kennedy, Shout out to him. He runs it. He organises everything. He sends the emails out and collates all the things on the table, spreadsheets and whatnot. So shout out to Joe Kennedy as well. Shout out to Damo, Captain Casual, who won the Boxing Nutters Prediction League. And we're already into the next one. The prediction came out for the weekend. And shout out to Danny Young for sorting out the Boxing Asylum T-shirts. All the Nutters are running around in these T-shirts, Andy. Because Danny Young, he got them produced. His friend on the graphic design. He got them delivered to everybody as well. So the boys are doing bits.
I heard some nutter run about fucking Dublin with one on the other week there, apparently. waiting in a doorway for some man coming to see him. I don't know who it was, though. Didn't get his name.
No comment on that one, but yeah, good lad. Yeah, Dr. FMG says go on Damo, lad. Damo's a good guy. They're all good guys, and Holly as well over in the Boxing Nutters League, patreon.com/Boxing Asylum. Throw in £1 at least a month and you get access to the league, the group, WhatsApp and all to keep the Asylum lights on. We did Thomas Smith, didn't we? We did absolutely. Luis Concepcion's fighting next weekend, and he's already made us aware of that one. I'll tell you who else is fighting next weekend, just as Dominic finishes up watching that action. Brandon Brewer is in action over in Canada. Who the hell is this guy, you might say? Well, he's a Canadian. He's fighting for the WBC Francophone Super Middleweight title, which you might be familiar with, Andy. And look at this for an opponent, 25-year-old Frenchman, Lancelot Proton de la Chapelle.
All right, this a Dave Chappelle love child.
What a name. Lancelot Proton de la Chapelle.
What going on there, like Lancelot? Sir Lancelot, fucking brilliant, mate. What title was that for, did you say?
It's the WBC Francophone Super Middleweight title, which is surprisingly vacant.
Oh, I'm not surprised there then, actually. Aye, fucking hell.
So there you are. Local lad, says Lithgow. Good luck to Brandon Brewer. Right, Dominic has watched the fight. Let's bring him in now. Gilberto Ramirez against Joe Smith Jr. Let me bring it up on the screen to see where they were, actually. It wasn't much of a crowd. The Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas. Oscar De La Hoya was backstage enjoying himself. Scores of 99-91 times 3 in favour of Ramirez. Poor old Joe Smith barely winning a round. In the first few seconds of the 10th round, Dominic, I suddenly looked down at the clock and I thought, oh, this is getting interesting now. Another couple of rounds of intrigue. And I realised, I'm not even joking, this was a dreaded 10-rounder. 2 seasons championship fighters moving up to cruiserweight, fighting in a 10-rounder. Now, it wouldn't have made much difference if Joe Smith had won those last 2 rounds. As I said about the scores, I fancied Ramirez to win. You did as well. Did he do what you expected him to do last night in the Cosmopolitan?
So, sort of by the looks of it. I mean, it looked like some of the guys who watched it live last night were saying that it was a pretty forgettable affair, and you know it's hard judging by a 10-minute highlight package to get a feel for it, but it looked that way to me. I mean, some of the comments underneath this are saying that 9-1, which all 3 judges scored at 9 rounds to 1, the 0, that those scores were a bit out, that it was more closer to 6-4, 7-3, which should, going back to your point about it being a 10-rounder, if it was a bit closer than 9-1, then would have made those last rounds even more interesting. But yeah, I just thought because Smith has recently left Top Rank ESPN, this fight's on the zone where Ramirez is really the golden boy, the house fighter, that if it was anywhere close, that Ramirez was going to be favoured. I didn't pick him out of any great confidence in his abilities. I've never really rated him, to be quite honest with you. In fact, I was really surprised that before he fought Bivol, a lot of people were tipping him to give Bivol a very good fight. I never saw it that way, but I don't know what he's going to do up at cruiserweight. I mean, in terms of Smith, just going back to the sort of discussion we were having when Smedo was still on about the state of the sport, a fight I really wanted to see after it was mooted after Smith got beat by Beterbiev and after Yard got beat by Beterbiev was Yard against Smith Jr. And I thought that would have been a great fight. Now, for whatever reason, it didn't happen, but that's the sort of fight that should be happening. 2 contenders duking it out, but I didn't see the point of this fight. What was it like? This fight last night was catch weight of 193 pounds, and obviously because it's a 10-rounder, that means it wasn't for any ranking in any of the sanctioning bodies. So I
He's
didn't.
an odd case, Ramirez, isn't he? He's got these catch weights all the time. He struggles with the weight. He's clearly a skilled fighter. He's a big unit. He can bang. His wife's one of these ones who's on the scene. Apparently, she was to do with the break from Top Rank. He's done well for himself. It's such an odd career that's been strangely loaded. The deck's been stacked in his favour so often throughout his career as well.
Yeah, anytime I've seen him, I've never been convinced by him ever. He looks like he has all the physical attributes. He's big. He's southpaw. But there was a few just in the highlights I saw. There's a few clips where Smith was able to sort of back him up to the ropes and tee off a wee bit, but nothing sustained enough to really put Ramirez under the sort of pressure that would see him, get in a position of authority in the fight. So yes, I'm not really interested in him, to be honest with you. He's not a fighter that I'm going to look out for, and I don't know what he would do at cruiserweight. I mean, I couldn't see him. I couldn't see him living with the guy that we saw last week up at Taya. Hard to know. I think he probably went up to cruiserweight because he didn't fancy anything that was available there at light heavy.
Ramirez is this?
Yeah, Ramirez. Yeah.
Well, the fact he was ballooning up like 25 pounds after the weigh-in as well. Didn't he miss the weight by about 8 pounds against? Was that Bivol or somebody? Was it? Or was it the one after? I can't remember.
No, it was the one after, I think. And there's talk now as well. People are saying, that mooting like a future Canelo fight up at heavyweight or something. I mean, can you imagine? But I don't know. Oh, I think it's. I don't. What are they? What was that? They're saying it was 193 pounds catch weight. I can't understand. I don't know.
I'm not sure. Andy, Dominic mentioned about Ramirez having the tools. I think he hunts the body well. He can clearly punch. He definitely slowed Smith down. He wasn't. I think one of the main things he did, his head movement was good, but he didn't allow himself to be trapped on the ropes for extended periods. And as for Smith, I was talking to one of the Patreon guys earlier. He messaged me and he said, "What's the crack with Joe Smith? Has he always been this shit?" And I was thinking about Smith actually, and he has done really well for himself as a sort of blue collar guy, very physically fit, very strong, can clearly punch. And it was way back to the Fonfara fight, wasn't it? Up until that point, he was sort of trundling along, local New York fighter, a bit of a fan base. Knocked out Fonfara when he wasn't expected to. Then he got the B-Hop fight off the back of that. Then he reverted to type. I've got his record in front of me. I'll be a boxer at wanker. Lost to Barrera. Lost to Bivol. Again, we think he's back at his level. Top Rank threw him in against Jesse Hart. Probably expecting Hart to win. Smith gets the split decision. Then they put him in against Eladar Alvarez, probably expecting Alvarez to win. He knocks him out, and they think, oh, we can do something with him here. Gets the vacant WBO light heavyweight title shot against Vlasov, which I thought was a very close fight, just about sneak through. Give him a gimme against Jeff Rod. All the time, he's a clever old fox, isn't he, Aram? Thinking, we'll get the title, unification with Artur Beterbiev. There's used Smith as a bit of a tool, but I don't think that's to his detriment. He's ended up having a bit of a career renaissance and making the best of his tools and the best of what he could.
Yeah, it's all saying, mate. I mean, as long as you're willing to kind of dig in, you can make a lot of yourself at the end of the day. One thing about Joe Smith and that, going back to the initial question when you started off about, has he always been this shit? I just think it's part of the issue was he was a part-time fighter for the best part of his career. I mean, when did he really turn full-time, or did he ever really turn full-time? I'm not too sure. And he's probably just kind of like made the best of the tools he was given, maybe been polished up a little bit, but just isn't naturally talented.
I think to be fair, sorry, Andy, the person who was talking to me was talking like technically, unable to close off the ring, those type of ways. We're not saying Joe Smith shit. He's done absolutely fantastic, as we've just outlined. I think technically speaking, like.
We'll see, like the last night. I mean, there was opportunities for him when, like, especially in the kind of latter half of the fight, when Turdo was actually up against the ropes. And you're kind of like waiting for Smith to kind of tee off. But I think seriously, the movement from Zurdo was really causing problems there last night. It was a bit of disciplined performance by him as well. But I agree with what Dominic was saying. I think he's on a hiding in the hand, really. I mean, he looks fleshy. I know he's a big guy in that, but he does look fleshy at that weight. And I didn't ken him was at a catch weight as well. I just thought it was a fully fledged 200-pound weight. So begs the question as well, what would they actually look like at the full 200 limit at the end of the day? And I
I
agree
think it was
with...
a 12 originally, you know. I think Oscar has form for this. Didn't he do it with Munguia as well? He tried
Well,
to
I said
change
that to you
the
guys.
Derevenchenko fight, didn't he, to 10 at the last minute. He does this, Oscar, or whoever's behind the scenes.
DAZN had marked that up as a 12 rounder at the start of the fight, and then
They've
after the
changed
first
that,
round,
yeah.
they changed it to a 10. So I'm not too sure when that got changed. I was surprised by that myself, but yeah. As far as I agree with Dominic was saying, I think Zurdo would definitely get ironed out of Opataya. I just don't see the ceiling with him anymore. I just think he's there, happy to kind of plod along, you know, be his own man, pick up a couple of paychecks here and there, but really. I think if he's going to be picking my title, it's going to be opportunities. You know, maybe like a Billum Smith, he could maybe beat him possibly. Gula Marion possibly as well. Again, right opportunity, right place, right judges. You would get that turn. But I think the likes if he was to face Opataya, it's a tough night. And if he gets caught on those ropes, Opataya is that fighter that he will walk through the best just to get to you. And I don't think even again. Even at 68, he wasn't a big puncher, and you think, okay, maybe it's because he's coming down in weight too much. Then he's up at almost 200 pounds, and he still doesn't look like he's a big hitter, Zurdo. So
he's not terrible, is he? Like he
he's
can
not
touch
terrible,
the body.
but
He can touch the body. He's got good fundamentals. I think he's skilled
yeah,
enough.
I get that, but I've never watched any of his fights, mate, and think, wow, you know.
No, I agree. I agree. I remember the one
He's...
fight against Yunieski Gonzalez. I think he was washed, but I thought he picked his shots really nicely that night.
He's just doesn't move the needle. Just does not do it. He's okay. He's done well for himself. Joe Smith done well for himself. You won't get these fighters that will slip under the radar, make the best of their abilities. But he's one of those guys. But it's just one of those guys you just cannot with any great interest. You know what I'm saying? But at cruiserweight, I just don't see him being a guy unless, again, as I say, unless you get the right judges in the right moment, you know. But
I think one of the guys said there that Body Jack would be a good fight for Zurdo, and I think that's a fight that Jack would probably. It'll be a good fight for both of them. It's a fight maybe both of them would fancy their chances of winning, and maybe that's a reason why the fight could happen. But just if you think of that fight last night, Zurdo, I know it wasn't at fully fledged 200 pounds, it was 193 pounds, but he didn't put a dent in Joe Smith. And you think back to, you know, Smith's last fight against Beterbiev, who punched holes in him at light heavyweight. And, you know, Zurdo was physically, he's a bigger guy than looks like to be a bigger guy than Beterbiev. So he doesn't have the punching power. I didn't think he had. Wasn't he at super middle before he went to light heavy? Was he at super middle?
That was where he had his WBO reign. He had his
Yeah.
WBO reign, and I think on the flip side as well, you said about him being a puncher, Dominic. I think he took some good flush shots from Smith last night, which would be a tick in the box.
Well, it is, but the other thing about Smith is that the problem that's going to always been a struggle for Smith. He doesn't have the hand speed, and I think that makes his power a bit more easier to manage. I think
Once it reaches you,
yeah, he is a heavy-handed guy. There's no doubt about that. But guys at that level, the punches that really hurt are the ones that you don't see, or that you really only see at the very last second. And if you have time to see it, even a heavy-handed guy, you can sort of brace yourself for it. And I think that's always going to be I think Smith has done very well in his career with his limitations. That has to be said. With a hand
punch you don't see coming, really. I should coin that. That's a good phrase, isn't it?
Oh, that's just you hear. I can't claim any originality for that, Steve. But no, on Zurdo, even Andy was saying like Billum Smith. I would fancy Billum Smith's chances in that fight. I was just thinking about it. If you put Riakporhe in against Zurdo, I would probably pick Riakporhe to beat him. That's why I don't rate Zurdo Ramirez at all. I think Riakporhe would get that body.
I like Riakporhe. I think
Shalom's listening then, eh? Takes a chance.
Oh, beautiful Ben's, listen to our advice. We'll save him. We can save him.
Anyway.
We want a cut, though. We want a cut.
Onto the undercard, just quickly, Andy. I thought Melakuziev looked really good against Alantis Fox. He's definitely pushed that Rosado loss out the way now. He hits the body really hard. He was absolutely... No one really does that to Fox. Fox is We know what he is. He's a tall, gangly, awkward fighter. Had an argument for at least a draw against Bazinian, who fights next week in Fox's last fight. Melakuziev just absolutely ran through him. Eric Tudor, I picked last week as a good-looking prospect. Lost, of course. So that's the curse on him. And Darius Fulgham, I saw him. He knocked out this absolute waster in a round with a little touch of a body shot. But yeah, Melakuziev, Andy, I thought he looked really, really destructive.
Yeah, it's, he's certainly kind of like raising the eyebrows again, so to speak. But still open though. To be fair, he's got the quick feet. I do like the way he kind of cuts the distance and gets into punching range. But I just like to see him finesse it up a little bit. Just don't, just jump straight in there, open yourself up. Start winging in those shots because he is leaky and he is open and he can be countered. So that said, WBA title. Who's the champ there actually at 68? It's Canelo, eh?
Canelo has more, doesn't he?
Aye, so I just pulled it up.
Or Morel has one of the subsidiary belts as well,
I've just
doesn't he?
seen this
Because
here,
he was calling out Morel and he called out somebody else. Can't remember who else he called it.
And I see Bazinian's fighting next Wednesday.
He's fighting Ronald Ellis, yeah.
Interesting. You've got Pacheco, DAZN as well, isn't he? Some fights potentially could get made there. Andrade still kicking about like a bad smell. Mimbili might have to that'd be a decent fight. Mimbili
against Melakuziev.
Yeah.
See, I think they'll fancy Canelo dropping the belt at some point and Billy picking up a vacant belt or something because it's the same eye of the tiger, isn't it? Invested in Billy and Bazinian. I'd love to see them put them together, but Bazinian's the weaker link of the two.
Well, see if you look at it actually, when's Canelo going to get called for a mandatory actually? Because you go Mimbili WBC, Andrade WBA, William Skull the IBF, and Jaime Munguia WBO. Surely one of them's going to be getting called soon.
I don't know. Dominic, you're muted there.
Yeah, they're just talking about they're talking Melakuziev looking for the shot against Canelo, but it's hard to see given that he's at the zone, and Canelo's contract.
I think Oscar would let him go across. Oscar's been really kind of vocal about the best fighting the best. He was mentioning Bob Arum, I think, there last night about a fight between who was it? Was it Garcia against Stevenson potentially, possibly?
PBC won't entertain that. They'll not be interested in Melakuziev. They'll want to keep it all in house now. They've got Canelo for that 3-fight deal. They'll not be letting anybody come over. I don't think. It'd be Jamal Charlo before it's him.
I know Morel would love.
What I think, I think Oscar would probably let Melakuziev move across for like a fight because as I say,
he would, but the PBC wouldn't accept him because it'd be I don't think they'd take him. As in, they'd say, well, why would they give Oscar's fighter the opportunity? They'll keep it in house. They'd have Charlo, Morel. They've got loads of fighters lined up for Canelo. I think under their own umbrella. Adames, being mentioned. Morel, you mentioned there, Dominic.
Well, I would definitely rather see Morel than Melakuziev.
Hard fight for Canelo. I don't think they'll put him in against Morel. I think it'd be Jamal Charlo next, and then it'll be Benavidez for the third fight. I don't think they'll put him in against Morel. He'd give Canelo trouble, I think.
Yeah, I think that's probably what will happen. I think it's unlikely that they'll fight Morel. I would love to see it. I think it'll be a great fight. I think that kid's very good, but it's the other one that you mentioned there was Munguia. That's another one. He's really with he's tied up with the zone. I can't see that happening.
It'd be someone from within the PBC ecosystem for the next two fights. Because they'll be keeping hold of the winner then.
And anyway, Munguia, I couldn't see Munguia being competitive at all against Canelo. To be quite honest with you, I don't think he would be
too open, isn't he?
Yeah, he's too. He doesn't pose enough issues for Canelo. He's too. He wouldn't be a problem for him.
Be exciting as long as it lasts, though.
Yeah, it would be exciting. And in fairness to Munguia, he showed big heart and toughness in that last fight against Derevyanchenko. I was really impressed by the ticker on him and the toughness that he showed.
It's fun to watch. I look forward to his fights, especially when they're evenly matched.
Definitely, I think they're angling towards they're angling towards the zone or looking this Berlanga, Munguia, like Mexican, Puerto Rico. That's what they're angling towards. I think trying to get Golden Boy and Matchroom to put that together. But it's interesting to see what happens. I want to see Morel, but I think it'll probably be, you're right, it'll probably be Adames or the big Charlo.
I think so. Andy, I brought that up on the screen and you've noted it as well. F2 says that Cuban Osles Iglesias folded his opponent in the fourth last night in Germany. Good amateur record with a win over David Morrell. A southpaw too, liking the sound of this guy. You've already had him on your radar for a while.
Yeah, I clocked him possibly about his third or his fourth pro fight, just one of those YouTube ventures I was on. Definitely a good fighter, as the guy says, that Arthur Reyes that he knocked out, IBO titles on the line, some Russian placed out in Germany now, folded him with the third or fourth round, or right hook I think it was, absolutely just done him in, iced him. Definitely a welcome addition anyway to 168, so just keep an eye on him. Actually, as I said, IBO titles, I don't know where that's going to kind of rank him in terms of the kind of big four and that, so to speak, so maybe the IBF, but possibly.
Should rank him highly, being an esteemed title.
Aye, but I didn't see him. I don't see him just now, actually. So yeah, what was the other name he mentioned there?
I don't know, I can't remember.
David Morrell, sorry, aye. Mentioned being a southpaw. Yeah, so again, 8-0. He is an interesting one actually, but I don't know. I see there's a few Cubans actually getting based out of Germany. Actually, there was a few on that card there last night as well. So I want to keep an eye on, but I would like to see the Germans kind of like get a move on with this guy because he isn't fighting anybody. You know, he's Chilemba and that. He is doing the business though. That's the main thing against his opposition. So just if this is what he's going to be doing against this trash, that it's time to move him up a wee bit, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the boys are shitting on Jamal as an opponent. I agree with you. You know, he's been struggling with the alcohol, struggling with the wife, and grossly inactive. But I wouldn't put it past Heyman trying to sell that fight on. I honestly wouldn't. I'm not saying I want to see it, but I wouldn't put it past them. Right, a couple of cards for next weekend. We already mentioned Wednesday, the 11th of October. They've moved from Thursdays to Wednesdays now over in Canada. I enjoy watching these. Eric Bazinian, an Armenian based in Canada, 30-0, going against Ronald Ellis. You might have seen him. Tough enough, Ellis, actually. I think he'll give Bazinian a few problems. He got beaten up by David Benavides. I think he went into the 10th or 11th round against Benavides, so he's quite tough. Femke Hermans, Mary Spencer, that's Matty's territory there, women's title fight. I think Hermans beat Spencer, and that's a rematch, actually. What I like about these Canadian cards is that they bring the same guys back again, and you can sort of watch them develop and build. John Orobio's on the undercard in the 4-rounder. Exciting Colombian, former Olympian, bit of a puncher, him. Wilkins Matau, he's Dominic will go at me about the pronunciation. He's 3-0, 18-year-old going in against Cesar Romo. And Mehmet Unal, another former Olympian. I think he might have represented Turkey, actually, in the Olympics. He's not good, much cop, but he is easy to hit. So he's quite exciting to watch. Right, I'm starting to even bore myself talking about this card. Move on to the next one. Saturday.
I think we chat on that Bazinian after his last fight, and that Ellis is coming off like a 2-year layoff. So,
has he been out for that long? Really?
I just had a look at Ellis's record. He hasn't fought since 2011, December 2021. Sorry, right. Against Christian Mbili.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So they may be trying to catch him on that. Miguel Bachelt's out in action as well next Saturday, Andy. He's in against Diego Alberto Ruiz, who I think, didn't he fight Michael Conlon? Yeah, he did, 2019. I was at that one in the Falls Park. That was part of the failure. He also fought to a draw against Lee McGregor, lost to Jack Bateson, got a win over Gamal Yafai. Is he a live enough opponent for Bachelot? What are we expecting from Bachelot now, Andy? I mean, he's lost his last two fights, got banged out by Valdez. Surprise retirement loss to Nakathia. I think they're going for one last run maybe and see where he ends up.
Mate, that guy's been in fucking like Gatti type wars early years and that as well. I mean, it's going to catch up to him at some point. That guy you just mentioned, that Ruiz, I mean, it's probably the ideal opponent for him, actually, to be fair. You know, toughish enough. He's been in with some of the decent names, British level and that. Has got a win over Gamal Yafai. But yeah, I would probably say it's a warm-up fight for Bachelot, whatever kind of movies want to make, but is he? He must be in the 30s now, Bachelot, isn't he?
He's 33, something like that. I don't know. I've turned his record off now. I'm not sure.
It's okay. It's okay. As I say, I think those wars for 2017 against like Vargas and Maura are going to catch up with him at some point. Like,
what are you thinking, Dominic? Anything exciting you for next weekend?
Just on Bachelot, I saw that the other day that he was slated to fight next weekend. And I was sort of a bit disheartened to find that he was coming back. I wouldn't have been complaining if he had stayed, you know, I'm not saying he had retired, but if he did retire, I wouldn't be complaining, because it was really that Valdez fight. It wasn't just that he got knocked out absolutely savagely, but the knockout was preceded by a beating he took, and he got lit up that fight badly, and I just thought that wasn't a good idea for him to be comeback fighting, but
exhaustion was a factor as well, which is always a danger one, I think.
yeah, he probably struggled. Do you remember that was at super feather, and he was huge at super feather. He probably had to kill himself to make the weight, and he was just walking right into shots, like, he was just coming forward and too tough for his own good. And then he got dropped a few times early in the fight, around the third or fourth round, I think, and then I think it was the 10th round. Valdez just walked him into an absolute pile driver, and it was quite scary, actually. I remembered quite well, because I had tipped Burchell to win that fight. And I was sort of quite concerned about him. I remember they showed the camera panned into the bowels of that arena, wherever it was. I think it might have been the StubHub Centre, and they saw the ambulance carting him off, and the girlfriend or the wife, putting him into the ambulance. So it was quite hairy. And I don't really think it's a good idea him coming back, but he's not the first.
Absolutely. Just to remind everybody at home, in case they were wondering, you're listening to episode 543 of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. Smido was with us, but he has disappeared. No Rapping Rob Kelly this week. Matty, we hope he's alive and well somewhere. Dominic's here alongside me, Steve, and Andy as well. We'll talk about Tim Zhu shortly. I think there's a unification as well. Janibek, Alim Canuli against Vincenzo Gualtieri. We've got Bellew the Weeks as well. Might be a comment or two. If not, we'll get out around 10 o'clock. Let's have a look through the chat, see who's hanging around. Dominic Henry's in the chat, actually. I was wondering what had happened to him. F2's here. Johnny Horsecock Nelson. We've got Jim McDonald Boxing. We've got Mark Stanton. ABC's joining in. He's having a great time. So's MB. M. Lithgow 1983. Yumi Yappy was there. He said he doesn't watch boxing anymore. He just comes here on a Sunday night. Got nothing better to do with himself, like Chris Butler. He's as bad. Number one, shout out. Take Ames was here earlier, so was Des. Albert Ross, always good to see you. We had the Juice somewhere. I don't know where he's gone. Disappeared off somewhere, probably got banned. Who else we got? Mark Stanton. Might have mentioned him before. We'll mention him again. On to Australia, Andy. Next Sunday for them. I think it's Saturday for us, in line with American TV. Shout out to the undercard very quickly. And Nathaniel May is going in against Jackson John, England. I saw Nathaniel May box on an MTK card back in about 2018 in the Titanic Exhibition Centre against a Russian. He wasn't that inspiring, so I'm going to give this one a miss, I think. Talking of Russians, Sergei Vorobev has been let out of Russia to fight perennial hard man Wade Ryan on the undercard as well. And Miguel Flores, who drew with Abner Mares, and his comeback is going against Sam Goodman. Good to see they're keeping Goodman active. He beat Ray Salim in his last fight, so that was a really good win for him. On to the main event, Andy. WBO, no longer the interim title. He's been upgraded now, Tim Zhu, 23-0. He started off the year by beating Tony Harrison. He then absolutely blasted out Carlos Ocampo. He's now going in against the upsetter, Brian Mendoza, who defeated Sebastian Fundora. Got to tip my hat to him, actually. We were both big fans of his dad, Costa Zhu, who is never there in person. But Tim's going about things the right way. He's keeping active. He's exciting. He knocks people out. And he's going in against a good opponent here for the WBO Super Welterweight title.
Yeah, it's a decent fight, mate, to kind of keep on going. I'm just trying to kind of pull up the rankings to find out where that guy's actually ranked. Mendoza, actually, give me a second.
But he won the WBC interim title when he knocked out Fundora. He was getting a bit of a shellacking from Fundora up until the 7th
He was
round.
actually, I
and he came back, didn't he, with the big KO?
Am I right in saying that was the one where he was actually on the inside, just trying to kind of find shots, and it was just kind of getting picked off, and he finds that arsehole winder. I probably expect something similar. Actually, I was expecting to be game, but I think once Zhu starts kind of like getting the hands off, good jab, body shots and that as well. I expect it to be probably a decent enough fight, but I expect Zhu to probably wear him down. Actually, maybe stop him late. Providing he has had problems with the hands, obviously, in that as well. I think he also had a bite or something off a dog or something recently.
Yep, that's right.
That seems to all be behind them and that. So again, keep busy. Hopefully, he does get the chance to kind of like come back and revisit the Charlo fight. Hopefully, although after what happened last week and the money that he's earned, I don't suspect Charlo will be kind of overeager to kind of take that fight on, because at the end of the day, Charlo's on the way out. Zhu is one of those fighters on the way up. It's just basically down to hunger and that. At the end of the day, I just think Charlo's head's now been turned to kind of maybe face retirement possibly. I mean, good payday, good life. Go out, go enjoy yourself. Zhu seems to be hungry, ready for anything. So good to see him out active again, and hopefully next year's maybe 3 or 4 times as well. And maybe it's this time it's unifying some of the belts and that. And just looking at some of the names here and that, I think would it be Erickson Lubin. You'd like to see that fight, but Kurbanov, like to see that one as well. Josh Kelly seems to be kind of on a wee bit of a rise again in that as well. Put him in with him. Madrimov, yeah. So there is some names from there. Unfortunately, if the Charlo fight's not going to happen, which to me I would like to see it happen, just purely because Zhu is going to have to go through every title now to make himself the man in the division. Like as improving it, everything else is on paper at the end of the day. So that's what we want to see him do: unify the division or face Charlo.
I agree. I think though he'd be better off, Andy, forgetting about Charlo, as in stop calling him out and wasting your energy on him, because history dictates that Charlo is going to disappear now with all that money. He's never the most active as it was. You're not going to see Charlo now, are you, for another 18 months or so? Hopefully he'll just drop them belts and people can start picking them up. And Siu has showed that he will go out and try and unify them. I think he needs to just everyone needs to just forget about Charlo, and when he comes back, he comes back.
I'd also like to recall again what the deal was with PBC that Zhu signed, and that is he still there? Because I see Spence is now jumped into 154 rankings at number 3 with WBC. Is that a fight they could maybe kind of get to? I don't know.
He's still with them. Showtime is showing this fight. Yeah.
So there you go. I'm just looking at some of these names. Those seem to be ringing bells with me as being PBC Showtime-ish type fighters and that. So yeah, I think there's certainly enough there to keep him busy at least. And I agree with you. He needs to forget about Charlo at this point. You're not going to see him for a while. He's paid. He can do what he wants just now and that. So Zhu's just going to have to go about, make his own name just now and that. But again, everything else is on paper. He's got to prove it at the end of the day. So let's see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Decent scrap. This Dominic Mendoza's tough. I think he'll give it a go. Tim Zhu eventually will work him out and be too powerful for him and then move on. As Andy mentioned, the likes of Lubin, Madrimov, Ramos is out of the picture at the moment. Yeah, Charlo got stripped apparently as soon as he entered the ring against Canelo because they wanted to keep it as undisputed. But then once he got into the ring and all that was done, the belt then became the full championship to Zhu. I think if Zhu can get rid of Mendoza, it'd be a bit of a statement because he's never been stopped. He's been in against Fundora. He went the distance against Ramos. His only other loss was to that Larry Gomez. He's proven himself to be a sort of tough, come-forward puncher. If Shu can walk him onto one. And don't forget, Shu's fight with Terrell Gaucher was tough enough. He got dropped in the first round, won by minuscule scores. I think at least one of the cards maybe had a draw. The other one was a point. Another one was a few points. So Shu's not completely infallible, but he showed against the Campo, if he gets you on the hook, again, showed against Tony Harrison, gets you on the hook, he's not afraid to knock you out. And if he could stop Mendoza, I think it would be a really good statement.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to seeing Zhu in action. Brief tangent, Steve. I was last night after the fight. Our uncle Big P put a video up of reflecting on last night's action and looking forward to next week's action. And of course, he got round to this fight, Mendoza versus Costia's son, and I was absolutely in stitches listening to him pronounce Tim Zhu's surname. It was Tim Tazoo.
That wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Oh, there was some other ones he was pronouncing that were absolutely horrific. Well, not horrific, they were brilliant, but no, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, it would be a statement if he stops the guy. What I really like about Zhu is I like how active he is. He's not having these big long layoffs. He's constant. It's not just good for him as a fighter, but as a possible attraction going forward. It's good for him to be out regular. But I think there's more chance of Charlo fighting Crawford than there is of Charlo fighting Zhu. I think there's more Charlo would probably see. I'm not saying he will fight Crawford, but I think of the two, he's more likely to think that a Crawford fight is big enough to justify the risk than Tim Tszyu. But I think it'll be an exciting fight. There'll be plenty of action in it. That guy got Fundora an absolutely highlight reel knockout. It was a really fantastic knockout. So yeah, I think it'll be exciting. I was just thinking there before you asked me, what will be the case for UK TV, and what sort of time will it be on for UK? Would it be like a Saturday morning for us or Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, you see, I'm not even sure, to be honest, because I think they're trying to move it around that it fits in with American TV, which kind of makes it even more awkward. So
It could be like a Sunday afternoon Aussie time then or something.
It might be, or it could be 2 o'clock in the morning. I
Remember
actually don't even know.
The Pacquiao Jeff Horn fight, was it like 3 in the afternoon? And
that's right.
In
So
Brisbane.
Queensland, I'm just going to check the time now. Right, so right now it's 21:38 UK time. It's 06:38 Monday morning there. So the fight's listed Sunday on BoxRec. So say it's around about this time. So yeah, it'll probably be in the morning for us, possibly. Eh?
Yeah, I honestly don't even know. I've lost all track. If someone in the chat knows, they can let us know. But I really don't even know. Anyway, I think it will be a good fight. I think that Mendoza will bring it, and Tszyu will just catch him with shots. And if, as I said, if he stops him, it will be a statement. You were telling us in the chat there, Andy, there is a returning fixture next weekend. I think this is in the Texas card on the ESPN, Bob Arum, Top Rank, etc., Alan Canuli, Gualtieri undercard. The return of the Tash. He's been injured. He's been doing documentaries. Ricardo Torres Jr.
Yeah.
is going in against Terrell Anthony Herndon, who's 21-4. He's 36. Got a nice haircut, actually. He's been stopped 3 times out of 4, though, so we would expect that to be 4 times out of 5. He's had a lot of fights out in Colombia. Where the hell do they pluck these guys from?
Oh, God knows, mate. God knows. He's even fought in Mexico. He's been all out of gaff, hasn't he? But yeah, it's just good to see Torres back out again. Actually, it was. So I would. I've never seen this opponent he's fighting. So I dare say that record's padded. To be fair, isn't it? I mean, fighting out in Colombia, Mexico, you just don't know what trash you're fighting. And there's one that he's fought in Mexico, a debutant, smashed him up in 1 round, 1-7, 1-8, 0-1, 4. Oh. And he got a DQ loss against Brandon Glanton, who was undefeated at the time.
Yeah.
Glanton's fighting sometime soon as well, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, he's an exciting fighter. I think one of the MB was saying last week he's coming up soon. He's always in good fights.
Yeah. So Torres, as I say, I mentioned him for the start. His pro career, and that he has got that proper power in the left hand. So want to keep an eye out for. That Guido Vianello, I'm surprised to see that Bob Arum still got him on the books, actually. I thought he would have been bin by now,
I thought that as well, actually. He's going against Curtis Harper, who did the famous exits against F.A. Ajagba.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So there's another one actually surprised to be getting. I mean, there's a good chance those fights will probably be on air time in that as well. They fucking don't deserve it. I mean, who am I to say they don't deserve it, eh? So you've obviously got Duke Reagan and Keyshawn Davis. I think Duke Reagan's one of the ex-Olympians in that as well, I think.
Yeah.
So there's 3 ex-Olympians on the card. You include Keyshawn Davis in that as well. And I suspect Alan Canuli will probably smash through Gualtieri in that, which I would say to you guys a couple of weeks ago, actually, I was surprised to see the turnaround since Gualtieri won that title to actually fighting again and getting right in a unification fight. But clearly he's been picked up as the easier option, cheaper option in that as well. So
they know what they're doing, don't they? With this fight, they're just cashing out from Gualtieri's side as well. I went to watch last week, sad bastard that I am, the Esquivel Falcao fight where he won the title. He did drop him with a nice shot, but he's very slow, hands up. He's really easy to hit. I mean, there is not a lot going for this guy. Falcao is a southpaw, so obviously he has that preparation. But like I said, he's very slow of hand. He can bang a little bit, but Falcao was catching him with shots. I don't hold much hope for him against Alan Canuli.
He's a titleist, as we keep mentioning. Opportunities arose. You're in the right place at the right time. some of these guys will get over the line and get a title, and this is one of these guys, unfortunately. So, well, fortunately for him anyway, but unfortunately for us. But I suspect Alan Cannulli will get through him. I'm thinking middle half, potentially later half of the fight, depends on how he goes about it. But yeah, I suspect him to get him in the end.
I think so. Just quickly on the Keyshawn Davis fight. Obviously, you're a fan. I was really impressed with what I've seen of him in his last few fights. Battered Yigit. Thought he showed a lot of dimensions against Patera, who's a good, solid European champion. He's going in against this guy, Nahir Albright, who's been a bit of a staple of the top rank undercards. He's never been stopped. He is tough. He went the distance with Jermaine Ortiz, who's proven himself to be a good fighter. He took the unbeaten record of Estevan Falco, who I think is some kind of relation to Esquivel. I could be wrong. He won a majority decision over the once heralded Carlos Balderas. He's a decent fighter, Albright. He'll be a good test for Keyshawn. And again, the old stick, if Keyshawn can get rid of him, it will be a bit of a statement. But I expect Albright to have his moments of this fight. And yeah, I don't hate this fight, Andy.
I've tried to remember Albright actually. You mentioned him, mate, so I'll keep a wee eye on that one. You gave him the big build up, so you better hope for your sake that Keyshawn doesn't come out and smash him up in 2 or 3 rounds.
Like Eric Tudor, another L for me.
No, but he's never been stopped, as you said, mate. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Getting the win against Balderas and Falcao. I mean, okay, no top end opponents, but it shows you has got something about him as that as well. And if Davis is the hype, or if he's getting touted to be something, and then even if he doesn't stop him, you got to expect him to win and potentially kind of look half decent doing it as well.
Mm-hmm. It will be exciting to watch. Right, it's 9:45. Dominic, any interest in the Alim Honolulu fight? We saw him against Denzel Bentley. We saw him against Danny Dignam. If people run away from him, as Gualtieri might do, because he was quite defensive against Falcao before he knocked him down, then there's a chance he could give Alim Cannulli the runaround. But I just think he's just too slow, as I said, of hand and foot to give Alim Cannulli any trouble. They're just picking up a title, I expect here.
Yeah, I can't foresee him having too much problems. The only thing I will say is one of Porky's pronunciations just came back to me when you started mentioning Alim Hanla, and Porky refers to him as Alim Cannulli.
Again, that's not too bad. That's not too bad from Porky. He's doing his thing out there. What's he been saying lately? What are the titles of some of Porky's videos? I haven't watched in a while, Dominic, and you do keep me up to date with some snippets here and there.
Well, actually, this is the thing. I was saying to someone else that I go through phases where for 2 or 3 days I'll watch them quite regular, and then I'll go maybe longer. I've been about the last 10 days. I haven't watched anything. So yeah, it depends. He sort of one of the titles was something like "Pray for Big Meech," well, like a wee graphic of Ben Davison, and Joshua. Obviously that there's rumors that Joshua's training with Ben Davison. So is Big Meech in need of divine intervention, something like that? I think he runs with stuff like that, but yeah, he's a character, all right.
Absolutely right. Talking to characters, we're 3 characters on this Sunday evening. We're going to get to 10 o'clock. If it kills me, it's 2:45 now. We're going to do Bellew of the Week, and we'll just talk some shit for the last 5 minutes if we can't get that far. Michael Thompson's not talking shit. He's throwing in some good boxing analysis. He says Janibek is the only good fighter in that division right now. He's right. For so long, one of the standard bearers of the sport, middleweight 160, is currently a weak division. Hopefully, if Alim Cannulli can unify the titles, it will become a little bit more exciting. Right. I have this next clip to introduce us to the Bellew of the Week for episode 543 as Ben Davison waffle. That's the best I could come up with for this one. And Dominic mentioned divine intervention for Ben Davison. Let's have a listen, Andy, to some of the divine intervention that is being channeled through this medium, through this dowsing rod of information and knowledge that is Ben Davison. Let's have a listen now for Bellew of the Week 543.
Just tell me, what kind of emotions are you feeling right this moment? It's been a few hours since the win now.
First and foremost, got to thank God for the victory. Alhamdulillah. I prayed last night. I prayed again today, and our prayers were answered.
What a guy, man. What a guy. I've prayed to God a couple of times this year, by the way. Never answered my fucking problems, by the way. So he must have been busy with the Middle East that day or something like that. I don't know what the fuck. But apparently God took his time away from what's happening in Palestine and Israel, last night to fucking turn round and help Leigh Wood win a fucking fight. Apparently, brav fucking oh, well done, Ben Guardiola. Fuck me, man.
Well, here, Steve. I was speaking to the old man there, and
Are you God or your old man?
My old man. I'm a bit of a lapsed Catholic these days. But he was telling me he went round to the church before, and he says the regular priest's away somewhere, so they've got this Australian priest who's deputising. My ears pricked up when I heard this. As Australian priest, it's like, come Father Dave could be in our midst. So if Ben Arcell wants some real divine intervention, we can arrange a special Father Dave pod. I think he's here.
Well, it's funny you should mention it. Father Dave was set to visit the UK and Ireland, he said, around September time. I'm not sure if he's back home or not yet. But yeah, it could well have been Father Dave. But you've inspired me, Dominic, to fish this one out. I've uploaded it just in time to keep things going, seeing as it's 9:48. Let's have a listen to what Father Dave was up to.
Here comes Father Dave, led out by Tony O'Loughlin. My goodness, Tony, I've known him since the 80s. God love him. He's been a great trainer in the Sydney region for a long, long time.
The punching priest, Father Dave. Tell you what, isn't that some entrance? He's actually a priest.
Yeah. At the veteran boxes, he always opens up the veteran boxes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's introduce you to the
There we are. Yep. Des says Ben doesn't understand how God works. It's like the old Arlo Phillips joke, isn't it? I used to pray every weekend for a bike, and then I realised that's not how God works. So I went and stole the bike and then prayed for forgiveness.
It was I like the quote of Lethal Weapon when Danny Glover's fucking he just landed with Mel Gibson for the first time. And he turns to him and says, "God fucking hates me," and Mel Gibson says, "Hate him back. It works for me."
Oh dear, right. We might get thrown off the air here for some. I don't know what. Let's move on swiftly. Shout out to Joe Kennedy, head of the Prediction League. He has alerted me to this Bellew of the Week, Andy, from Jake Donovan. Jake Donovan says, arena music blaring over Tony Bellew's commentary. Best part of the show so far. Hashtag Wood Warrington.
It was pretty loud. It was pretty loud last night, to be fair, which was great.
Oh, poor old Tony.
Didn't get to hear Froccio, which was a shame, but...
Fotch is enjoying himself these days. There's Tone. Someone sent this to me. The bomber jacket. In no way connected to any bombings. There's Tony wearing the cap and the top. He's looking quite stylish, Andy, these days.
He's looking quite neat there. Got a nice beard kind of trimming there. He's got the... He must be dyeing it though. He must be dyeing that a wee bit.
Oh,
got to be going grey like the rest of us there, Tony. Come on. Sorry, Anthony. Sorry,
Anthony.
You're up in age now, mate. Come on.
Oh, he's up in age.
Well, you can actually see it. You can see it on Barker, by the way. Your man here on the right hand side looks a bit younger. Actually, I don't think he should have any greys yet. But certainly Barker isn't hiding it. But I think Tony's hiding it a wee bit. To be fair,
with the baseball cap, no less.
Well, I didn't see him much last night. Actually, he's kind of bald around the head like the rest of us these days now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. He's not at the barbecues anymore. Rick Glazer. Rick Glazer's kicking off at Benson. Benson said PBC's contract with Showtime reportedly isn't being renewed, as has been heavily rumoured. Al Heyman is now seeking to secure a new broadcast deal, according to Dan Raphael. Rick jumped in, and who was the first to put this out, Benson? I was the first to put this out. All the while, Fat Man Raphael was chowing down on ham hocks. Not only is it not being renewed, hashtag Showtime is leaving, hashtag boxing. There you are, Dominic.
Rick Glazer telling us what he does here again, mate. Bringing us the news. It's a vital role of the sport of what he's doing there. Vital role.
Oh, he's enjoying himself. Are you a fan of Rick Glazer, Dominic?
I don't know.
Are you familiar with his work?
There's too much ambiguity about him. Like how many accounts has I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. He's I don't even know if he's real, do I? Or no, he is real, isn't he?
As far as I know, he is. Him and Sonia having food each week in the restaurants there. But Lithgow says you need to get him on the pod one week. Could you imagine? That would break us.
Jesus.
Well, yeah. Well, he's been on fine form this weekend, Rick Glazer. We also tweeted this one out, but he deleted it later. He said so many are absolutely disgusted with hashtag Jamel Charlo. It's like he's a paedophile. Hashtag boxing.
I got tagged into that one as well. Actually, I think it was it was an Everton boy. I actually forget his name at this point. I'm trying to get up by.
Oh dear, he deleted it though.
With a
Deleting's
bag
cheating.
of sweets and a cheeky smile, Charlo is a fucking paedophile.
Shall I cut that one for the YouTube shorts, Andy? Oh dear. I didn't cut this one. I can't cut videos anymore. I am trying. MTK Enforcer Rick Graville sent it to me. Anthony Joshua's lost the plot. What's he doing? W for washed. He was having a sing-song, Andy. Did you see this in the car?
I did not see it, no.
He was enjoying himself, praising the up high. He was having a good time.
Up high, but was he talking like, was that like the boardroom, or was that like God himself?
No, I'm not sure what he was doing, to be honest. But he was.
Was he driving at this time? Was he incapacitated or?
I don't think. I think he was. I'm not sure if he was actually. No, he wouldn't be. Would he? From that side of the car, I wouldn't have thought. No.
I dare say Anthony's living the mild lifestyle, mate. To be honest with you, it's hardly going to be bitches and Benjamins and that type of shit, you know.
There's some prayer going on with him training with a boxer size band. There'll be.
Can you imagine it? By the way,
before and after training.
Oh well, yeah. Is this? Go ahead,
on you go.
No, I was going to say, is this confirmed? I heard that he was doing a bit of training with box size. Is this true, or was this a Photoshop?
About a Photoshop, mate, surely.
Is it Dominic? Is he out there with Ben or not?
I think he's the catch the watch word is ticking over. He's ticking over with Ben Davison. I think his brain will be ticking over overtime if he spends too much on Ben Davison.
Ticking over. Ready to explode. Shout out to AJ. Eddie Hearn has claimed that Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder will happen in 2024. Where would you like to see this fight take place,
Oh,
Andy?
fuck me, man. But make chance it happen on the moon than it happen on planet Earth, anyway. Put it that way. Fucking hell. We got a Nigerian prince now wanting to fucking put the fight on or something like that. Look, Eddie actually looks like 5 years younger than that picture there, by the way. That's how fucking old it is.
Well, here, talking of that, someone put this epic. That's it there. That's it there. Steve.
There we are. Tyson and Paris Fury only had one kid the first time Eddie said Wilder's next.
Fucking Tyson Fury and his wife will have another fucking 5 kids before his fights get made, mate. Fucking hell. He's only plums. Who's going to fucking pay for it? He can't. The Saudis aren't interested in that fight. They're not interested. So how the fuck? Who cares?
It's imminent, Andy. It's coming. Eddie says
imminent. My fucking chuffs, man. Imminent. Fucking hell. When was the last time Eddie actually put on something truly mega?
That outfit he had on Saturday night.
I suppose.
Okay.
Fucking hell. You just know Wilder will make it absolutely fucking awkward for him to make this fight. He's got his figure in his head. Josh was gonna want his money as well. Eddie's like, well, where's my cut? You know, doesn't make pounds. Doesn't make sense to fucking Edward. You know, his balance sheet's not gonna be fucking tipping forward to a profit if fucking Wilder's not gonna play the game with him. Fucking
Michael Thompson says Saudi only want the fighters with belts. That was
exactly,
a bit low, Michael.
Exactly. They weren't interested in the fucking fight to begin with. You know, I remember Eddie came out and he says, what was it he said? We've got an offer. Oh, where's the contract, Eddie? Did they get a contract, mate? Fucking hell.
They send emails, don't they, and say they've made offers.
It's going to be about, hey, mate, it's imminent. It's the only thing. It's 2024, so it's hardly fucking imminent, is it? Fucking Eddie. Fucking hell. I bet if his old man was in charge, I bet he would have got the fucking fight made.
Mm-hmm. What's his old man up to these days? What's he doing now, Barry?
Oh, he went in the cupboard with a can of Stella, possibly, won't he?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Okay, Jesus,
anyway,
man.
Yeah, I'll tell you what is imminent. Billy Joe Saunders' return.
Oh.
He was talking about the Canelo fight. He said, when we got to round 3, I thought, is this it? I was expecting more. I was expecting him to be more of a beast. I came away from that fight with great confidence because I never once felt out of my depth, apart from the time he was stopped, and he came out with great confidence. Has he fought since? I think he fought Martin Murray, didn't he? Do you remember we done the post-fight part?
That was the first one, you bastard.
Was that before or after Canelo? I can't even remember, you know.
I can't. No, he's no fought since Canelo, has he?
I'm almost sure he hasn't.
Oh no, there you go. Murray was before Canelo. Sorry.
Yeah,
there you go. Aye, because I actually said to you guys last night, is that Saunders on the broadcast that making the this is him obviously trying to make the move for the comeback, but let's be serious here, man. What's this comeback going to look like? Fucking hell. There's no money, right? Uncle Dan seems to be out of sport. Billy's been fucking living like a fucking fiend the last 2 years, eating and drinking and doing whatever else he's been doing. He's going to come back at what weight? Light heavy, possibly? How's that going to last?
He
Fucking
said
Jesus.
they're saying the first fight's going to be at light heavy, and then the next fight will be at 168.
Next fight.
Yeah,
right.
I think they're looking. The idea seems to be that they might try and get the Eubank fight, the Eubank rematch if he. But I mean, I'm not interested in it to be honest. But it's one of those fights like it would be the same to me as like the Eubank Smith fight. It's a domestic fight, but there's no real significance to it. There's nothing on the line. It's irrelevant in terms of the world picture, the world scene.
I mean, that's how desperate Eddie is, man. He's hoping to bring back Billy Joe Saunders. Remember, he mentioned it to as well as we're in talks or whatever it was. He's not a superstar. He's not a pay-per-view star. What is going on here? Why, Billy Joe Saunders is going to come back after how long? After a Canelo humbling,
Nearly 3 years.
Nearly 3 years, and he's going to be put on TV possibly, or
He's a
on
good
a broadcast.
guy, Andy. We need to get behind him. He's a good guy.
Oh, fucking pish. He's had his turn. How the fuck should we keep supporting this shit, man? Make him earn his way back up the fucking chain.
I can't stand him. I can't stand him.
He's changed, Dominic. He's reformed.
Entitlement, man. Fuck me.
I tell you what, that episode at the weigh-in for the Willie Monroe fight when the kid hit that's one of the most shocking things I've seen. It's interesting actually on Eddie, and the desperation of. I mean, when Eddie's having these wee jousts back and forward with Frank over the Conor Benn, the whole drug situation, Eddie likes to raise the issue of Billy Joe failing for that nasal thing or nasal spray before the Andrade fight.
Oh yeah, I was out for that bastard. Ruined a good fight.
And it's funny because he's Eddie's trying to bring him back now, but he's not above using the example of Billy Joe popping that time to hit back at Frank when Frank's trying to get to him over the whole Conor Benn thing. So it just shows you Eddie. He's not really. I don't think he has himself much. There's fighters that Eddie, that he has a bit of time for, but I don't think Saunders is one of them. But yeah, I have no interest in this at all.
You wouldn't want to associate yourself with him, would you? He's toxic.
He is. He's. I don't know if Andy saw any of that interview he did with Simon Jordan. During the week, Simon Jordan sits down with these guys, but like Simon Jordan's been interviewing the likes of Stephen Hendry and Lawrence Delalio, like guys who are like some of the best ever do it in their field, and then he's gone from that to Billy Joe Saunders. It's some sort of fall from.
They would only get behind him because he has a bit.
Interviewing Saunders.
It's up. It's a series he does.
William Hill thing, isn't it?
I'm not going to watch that.
It's only because he's got a bit of. They think he's got a bit of mileage left in him. He was talented at his peak. That's the only reason. There's nothing. There's no other reason that just drain a bit more juice out of him before he retires.
That is the problem. He was talented, and what happens? We keep saying it when talent doesn't work hard enough. When that talent ebbs away, he's fucked. And he's going to come back after 3 years out, shift all that way. I mean, it must have been 200 bills, man. Must have been, maybe even more. I must have been doing that in them 3 years. And he's going, it's a disaster right now, isn't it?
If he had discipline, he's in my opinion, middleweight was always a notch of weight, but he was never disciplined enough to stay there. You were talking about if he has first fight back at light heavy and then the next fight's going to be at super middle. I have always thought that like Eubank Jr. middle was his weight, but he's just not disciplined enough.
He's not. Talking of discipline, a shout out to Bomac. Bomac update. Brian McIntyre is now listed to be sentenced not before 2 p.m. on Monday. He's been charged with 2 firearms offences which carry possible custodial sentences. It was going around on the BoxRec forum, which there is elements of truth often floating around there, Andy, that he was going to be sent back home.
All right.
So
Probably the best all round, actually, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing is, as well, he's going to have to answer questions when he gets back there as well, I would imagine. How the, as I say, how the fuck he got that gun out of the country is one thing. obviously he's maybe flew private, got through security without getting checked or whatever and that, but that's probably questions he's going to have to answer actually as well to the American authorities. What happened? How the fuck did you get that through or whatever it is? I don't know. But the Brits, I certainly know they wouldn't take that too kindly. But it's easy to fuck him off, I suppose, and just ban him for ever entering the country again, I suppose.
It's funny. It would have probably more of a blowback on Eubank than Crawford seems to have like a team around him. It's not just Womack, but Eubank potentially would rely from that one fight that he's had with him. He might be harmed more than if Womack was, if he is banged up either here or back in America. But it's a crazy situation.
Shout out to Bomac, we're big fans. Hopefully everything goes okay for him. Final one that I have here. One of the Nutters put this up this week. It does have a boxing tinge to it. The old Ford Capri advert, for God's sake, don't let a woman drive it. Your Capri is precious. Don't confine it to an early grave by letting a woman get behind the wheel. And Ryan Deal, Andy, done his job as usual, done his business.
Oh, no. The cars were quite nippy actually, but I can recall was a laddie. Fucking that XR3i, fucking brilliant, man. Fucking Spence.
Oh, good old Errol. We wish him well. We hope he's okay. One I thought I had cut again, StreamYard disappeared, or I forgot to upload it, Andy, was exactly what you've got in your little pen pick caption there. Oscar giving the old, he loves the handshake grip, doesn't he, and the stare at Ryan Garcia, and Garcia can't stand him. He's waiting to get out of this contract, and I didn't have it cut, but it was some video stroke photograph there.
Aye, mate, I'm telling you that still picture's got memes. It's got mileage written all over it, mate. I could just stay awake. That could be getting used many times over by yours truly, because it's just, it kind of like sums him up really. He just kind of stands there in a trance. He just come to life, like say, like on demand, and he acts like that. Yeah, dude. Fucking hell. Nothing he says makes sense to me. Actually, it's like he's always searching for words.
I thought last night, to be fair, when he got in the ring after the Melakuziev win, it was as sort of lucid as I've heard him in a while. He wasn't licking the lips, and the eyes weren't that bad. He obviously hadn't got tucked in yet. He seemed pretty coherent. I was worried about him.
Wait to the middle of the meet, mate. We'll see him at the after party. He'll be standing in front of the fucking telly, showing the missus how he fucking threw a jab and how Makuzlev was throwing body hooks and all that sort of stuff from that man, eh? Give me what Oscar's like, mate.
Exactly.
He's no sorry.
Any other nominations from you, Andy, please?
Kind of quiet week for me, mate, but just one of the ones, the judge for the Harper fight, 97-93, was a bit of disgrace.
Bob Williams, wasn't it? I think.
That's how it was. The DJ, as you think you already mentioned, that one was on my list as well. I took a cheeky wee look actually just at the IFL YouTube page just to kind of see the videos and the kind of weigh-in and stuff. And I noticed that the viewing figures aren't really doing too hot at IFL Towers just now, so hopefully Cougs is managing to pay that water bill, hopefully.
Getting viewing figures like ours now.
Well, pretty much, aye.
More views of the fart.
Pretty much. And I noticed someone had put out the tickets and that, saying apparently the Wood Warrington fight last night was actually segregated because of the fucking fans, the Leeds fans, the Nottingham Forest fans. So they actually had to kind of put them in different sections across the arena. Fucking wild, man.
I wouldn't doubt
it. And Barry McGuigan, Carol Frampton coming out, mentioning bits in his book, mentioning IFL. He's saying as I'm looking at this. My lawyer's pulling up this shit. He says he finds out that somebody's took a holiday to New York out of my fucking purse money, took a fucking sunbed and women's shoes and fucking handbags and shit. I'm surprised fucking Barry McGuigan wasn't called brass neck at some point trying to rob folk like that, man. Fucking unbelievable. So one for fucking Barry McGuigan again for fucking sunbed, man. Fuck's sake.
You ever been on a sunbed, Andy?
No, I have not, mate. I've been on the beach and I fucking hate it. I've got no compulsion to lie on the fucking beach, mate, with fucking suntan lotion on, getting like a fucking donut, fucking turning air, sands everywhere. It's just fucking horrible. And same goes with these fuckers are going and sat in the sunbeds and that, man. But the state of
all the women in my work be on them all the time, and I've never been on one in my life, like, man.
They must look like fucking. They must look like aged to fuck, mate. They must be see if you put them under a black light, mate. You see the state of their skin, they'll be fucking a mess.
No, they look lovely. That's what I'd say to them anyway.
Aye, right.
Go on, Dominic.
Well, they do say it's quite a dangerous thing for people's skin later in life. Like it's a health risk. But I did actually just while Andy saying that there, I said to you yesterday, Steve, I was in Lisburn, so it's a town about 10-15 miles outside Belfast yesterday afternoon about 5 o'clock, and I was parking my car and I heard this voice, "Hey boy," and it was actually Frampton, and he had been signing books in Lisburn city centre, I think. But I think he must have remembered me from the book signing in Belfast last weekend. But he did say he would come on the pod either live or on a pre-recorded one on a weekday night to talk about the book and everything else once things die down. But I was actually telling him, Steve, just while you're on this, about the McGuigans. I was telling him a story that you once told me that I've never forgotten. And this was back a fight that Frampton had at the beginning of April 2014. He was
This
fighting.
isn't one of the libelous ones, is it?
No, well, I don't think it's not libelous. It's not libelous, no. It was. Do you remember Ryan Burnett was supposed to be on the undercard, and Houghton Ricky was all over the place. He was on the pitch, and
Yes.
Ryan Burnett failed the brain scan, and Ricky couldn't get it sorted out. So one of the McGuigans, one of the sons, basically to try and sort the issue out, had to commandeer your laptop.
That's right.
And before you
Hand your laptop in, Wellings.
and you hand your laptop in, and you didn't even have the chance to say yay or nay before the laptop was swiped off you. And I was telling this to Frampton, and he just sort of laughed. He was just sort of saying entitlement, the entitlement of the whole setup. So
I think I think they claimed for the cost of the laptop.
But he's got to come on whatever few weeks time. We'll get it sorted out, and guys can get their questions ready. So we'll answer. Well, as Uncle Porky would say, he can answer some real boxing questions.
Absolutely. Do you have any Belly of the Weeks to throw in the meantime, Dominic?
And I was just going to mention the one you mentioned it there about Oscar Eibon and Ryan Garcia. The other one was actually the interview that I was talking about Billy Joe Saunders and Simon Jordan. I'm going to nominate that because some of the stuff Saunders was coming out with. I mean, just one that I can't forget was he was talking about how much he wanted to win the Canelo fight, and he said his mindset was when the plane was on the runway in England or Heathrow, wherever they were about to fly off, he said, if I'm to lose this fight with Canelo, his mindset was let this plane crash. He actually said that in the interview with Simon Jordan. That's just the sort of stuff he's coming out with, like that. I think the guy's I wouldn't watch him actually. I think if he fought again, like, but yeah, I'm going to nominate him from the stuff he was coming out with in that interview.
Well said, Dominic. Billy Joe Saunders, we wish him well. Right, let's go through them quickly before we get out of here for the night. So we had Jake Donovan going in on Tony Bellew. We had Bellew himself with his outfit. We had Rick Glazer having a go at Benson. And then the Jamel Charlo thing. We had AJ doing his singing in the car. Eddie Hearn says that the AJ Wilder fight will happen. There's more chance of the Fury kids coming along, says that poster. Billy Joe Saunders talking about the Canelo fight gets a nomination as well. Bomac for his court troubles. And then the Ford Capri as well with Spence. Who are you going for this week, Andy? Oh, and Ben Davison as well for the video intro.
I'm going to go for Rick Glazer.
That's exactly what I was going to go for.
I mean, we've just we asked the real boxing question, Steve. What does Rick Glazer do? He's got a vital role to do in the sport, and he's telling us that Jamel Charlo is hated because he's like a paedophile.
Oh dear, Dominic, who are you going for this
week?
I'm
going for that. I'm going for that too. I'll go for Rick. That's a unanimous decision.
Unanimous decision. Rick Glazer, we don't know what he does in boxing, but I'm sure it's something very important. You have won a major award, the Belly of the Week winner for episode 543. Congratulations to you, Rick Glazer. Right, that is all we shall do for tonight. We managed to stretch it out like Devon Alexander's anus until 10:10 on this Sunday evening. Thank you for
Never
Dominic.
Be the same again.
Never been the same again. Dominic came on tonight. So did Adam Smith to talk about Leigh Wood against Josh Warrington. Andy the Rock was here as well. Hopefully Matty will be back next week and rapping Rob Kelly. Might even hear from Aussie as the nights draw in and it gets colder. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Hit the like button on the way out. Subscribe. Do all those beautiful things. Hit the thumbs down button if you want to. But come and join us at patreon.com/boxing asylum. I've been Steve Wellings. We'll see you all again for episode 544. same time, same place next Sunday, and bye.
We'll never forget.
I think that's good happening.
Go to Adam move! We want to be honest, yeah?
Crying like a little bitch. I've never met a fucking swank that can fight me.
I fell asleep. I fell asleep.
You're a fucking bum, you're a fucking asshole.
Rumpo fucking Steltskin.
But allegedly, Oscar Rivas has failed a test.
7 year ain't. 7 year ain't.
I will fucking smash fucking you.
I hope you fucking die.
Be safe.
I love boxing sounds, as simple as that.